Okay, great. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Today is the June 1st meeting of the Battery Park City Committee of Manhattan Community Board 1. My name is Justine Kucha, and I'm the chair of the committee. My co-chair, Kathy Gupta, is not going to make it tonight. She's not feeling well. But we do have members of the committee here. We've got Dr. Betty Kay, we've got Eric Flores, we've got Jeff Galloway, we've got Jimmy Sung, we have Sarah Cassell. And I don't see anybody else, but we are going to get started. Other members of the board that are here too. But just to give you a refresher, the way that things work are, number one, all board members should have their cameras on while we're talking, even though we're not doing resolutions tonight. But I do need the cameras on for the recording purposes. And secondly, we're going to have, after we have a presentation or discussion, we're going to take questions from the committee first, who will raise their hands to speak. And then when the committee is done, we will go to the public, the attendee section. Those folks that are in the attendee section need to raise your hand to be heard or be called on. I will be monitoring it and we'll call on you, and as will Lucian and other people too, just to keep a check on it. But I will call on you, don't worry. Everybody in this committee gets a chance to speak. And with that, let's go on to the agenda. Marion, your hand is still raised. I don't know if you still want to talk, or if you do, keep it up. If you are just going to remove it, that's fine.
I can lower that. And Justine, while I'm pulling up the agenda, just one other bit of information. I know that we probably have some visitors here from 276. While we will be discussing a bit about the quality of life interventions for the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project at this meeting, and there will be a presentation on some aspects of design for the community. We are going to urge all those who have a comment to definitely also submit written comment for the draft environmental information statement comment collection period. That's really important. They read all of those, and Nick will have more to speak about that when he presents.
Yes, thank you so much. Yep. At this point, what we're going to talk about tonight is how Battery Park City is reacting and what our opinion is. Our opinions matter. Our opinions will be shared with the Quality of Life Committee and with the Environmental Committee. But these are really important things. And as frustrating as it may be, we're an arm of the government that moves very slowly. And we have a bit of a compartmentalization because we've got people who are in each committee that have different expertises and different focuses. So we're honoring that. I want to let, because I don't even see if Patrick is on yet. So I'm going to jump to offer, we have new addition, like new business that's not on the agenda, because Brookfield sent us, the committee, a presentation and information about what they're going to do. Help me out, Peyton. What is it called?
Yeah. So this summer, we're looking to implement an activation consistent with what we did last year called the Bungalow at Brookfield Place. This year will be called Portside.
Portside, yes, perfect. So they presented some slides, and Peyton's going to go through what they're presenting, and we wanted to weigh in on it. I do have some questions based on the brief email that was sent, but I'll let you go. I'm going to kick it over to you, Peyton.
Awesome.
So go ahead. We're going to do Peyton first, then we'll jump into the agenda.
Okay.
Do you have slides? Would you like controls?
Yes, I can share our slides. But Justine, thank you so much, and thank you for allowing us to speak so last minute tonight. We really appreciate it. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I'm Peyton. I'm representing Brookfield this evening, and I'm going to walk you through an activation that we'd like to implement on the Upper Plaza out here at Brookfield Place called Portside. As a refresher as well, we had an activation called the Bungalow at Brookfield Place out there last summer that was received really well by the community. And so we wanted to bring it back again this summer in a new fashion and a new theme. So this will be a nautical theme this year. Our first priority this year was really to ensure that we regrouped after last year's activation and incorporated community feedback. So we knew it was of the utmost importance that we maintain the number of seats on the Upper Plaza that are currently out there and ensure that this activation feels welcoming and open to the entire community. As a result of this, we took down anything that obstructed visibility from the outside in and vice versa. And we've also maintained the same seat count that we currently have out there right now for the summer. So we're requesting the community board support to install portside, and we really look forward to welcoming you guys out there this summer. I also wanted to introduce Annie, who is working, is part of Brand Guild, who are working with this summer, the agency. We're really excited to be working with Brand Guild and look forward to presenting a fun summer activation for all. Brand Guild is a wonderful partner of ours on Portside and will facilitate the decor and free public programming. So I will turn it over to Annie and the Brand Guild team to walk through load-in, activation, load-out dates, and we're both happy to answer any questions. I will also share my screen just so you guys can get a sense for what the activation will look like.
Great. Thank you, Peyton. And thank you all for letting us come and join your meeting. We appreciate it, especially from
Thank you
home,
for coming,
guys.
Annie.
This is a nice meeting in my cozy chair, so thank you. So you can see this is the overview of the environment. I'll start with load in because I know that is the time when we are going to take up a lot of time in chunks as we look at load in. We're starting on Thursday, June 23rd and ending load in on Sunday evening. The load in times will be 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then the activation will start on Monday, June 27th. And run through Friday, September 30th. And the activation hours are from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then load out again for at the end of September. We'll start on Friday, September 30th at 9 p.m. And then we'll be all loaded out by Sunday at 9 p.m. Any questions about load out or load in before I keep going?
Why don't you go through the whole thing? Because I
Okay.
may, yeah. So you, yes, I'm trying to catch the dates. So why just, I guess my first question would be though, September, why start at 9 p.m. on a Friday night?
We'd like to get this loaded out as quickly as possible to really have the least amount of impact during the day when people are milling about. We try to be as efficient as possible and use that start time for quiet time, but to try to get a head start on really pulling everything out.
And then the question I would have with that is, so you start at 9 p.m. and when do you finish?
On Friday, it's a 9 p.m. to a midnight for that initial loadout when you're starting. For me, it's like, okay, what are the things that we can do quietly for this? And it'll be more clear, but like taking down sales and starting to move things so that we're able to then get things moving and ramped up Saturday morning to be done by Sunday night.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Sure, of course.
I do have more questions, but I'll wait.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no. Totally fine. So this gives you, what Peyton is showing you here is an overview of this outdoor seating environment. So we have two entry points, if you will, that are flanked on either side of the V. We are using some of the existing umbrellas out. What we did hear from the team was we wanted more shade, as much shade as we could provide, because it really is so sunny. And we wanted people to be able to enjoy the area as much as possible. So the sun really is a deterrent. So you'll see the backside of the Portside has a large L-shaped area that is covered by sails. These sails are again intended to create shade. That was probably the number one thing that we heard from folks who came through last year was they loved being outside, but it just gets very sunny. Plenty of seats here for people to really enjoy. We thought about how people might use this at different times. We've come up with a program, a list of events that are open to the public throughout the summer. So they will start on June 27th And we have a calendar that we're happy to share. I think that is all updated and approved, and Peyton and her team can share that with you all. But there are lots of different kinds of things that we're doing, anything from straw bag monogramming. So we'll have that open and free to the public for the first people who come through. We have some fun children's activities, some knot tying activities, some different activations. Are you all right, Justine? I'm so sorry. I know you don't feel well. I was on early and I was like, oh my gosh, she needs some tea.
I have some tea, but thank you. Yeah, sorry. I'm going to stay on mute because I'm coughing my head off.
Of course. So lots of crafts. We're also launching this summer, which I'm really excited about, a free little library. So the boat installation, you'll see there's a faux boat installation. We're going to be using those shelves in the back there for our library. So there will be library books, drops in July and August. These are summer beach reads. They'll be free to the public. People can come in and pick them up. There'll be 100 launched in July and 100 launched in August. I'm a really big fan. I live on Capitol Hill here in DC, and we have one on our block, and I just love it. I just think it's great. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about, and I think it's great. We should encourage reading, and I think it's nice for people to be able to come and take a free book. There are other opportunities with things. We have some fun activations, like I said, for kids, some nice seashell crafts, some fun little tenant or toddler yacht rock event. So a lot of things that really looked at reaching several audiences. We're also very excited about our cocktails and coffee. We're going to have opportunities for people from the public to come daytime during work hours and come down and have a free coffee on us. So I think we're really looking at this, using this environment for a few things, not just for the groups who are, coming to drink and have and socialize, but also for some other opportunities with your kids and with people who might want a book or a coffee. So I'm happy to answer any questions about, this is a look at the seating plan here from a more technical perspective. But if anyone has anything.
Okay, so I see that our esteemed chair is here, so I will call on Tammy first, then Jeff Galloway. Go ahead. You guys just unmute yourselves. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much. Can you make that a little bit larger so we can see a little bit more of the seating plan?
Yep.
And
better.
yes, I had a question for you because you did mention the umbrellas with the tables. One of the really important things that have been part of the experience over around this place were the free umbrellas that surround the marina, and ensuring that there are free umbrella tables that are available to the public who may not be participating necessarily, but that have been provided over the years around the marina on the east side, going all across. And you did mention that you would be using umbrellas with tables and taking some of the umbrellas from other places. So I'm just curious.
I don't know. Maybe we didn't mean to say that we were taking umbrellas from other places. Umbrellas will stay as is across Upper Plaza, Lower Plaza in different areas, but we will be maintaining some of the umbrellas that we do have on the Upper Plaza for this activation, in addition to the new shade structure that we're really excited to introduce this summer.
And can you explain, there are a couple forms of passage that exist currently, and it's hard sometimes to understand. Will there be any pass through on the upper level in and out that you can go if you are walking?
Yep. So if you see where my cursor is right here, there is a pedestrian pathway.
Across the bottom there?
Yep.
It's hard to see. And that is the pathway that exists now with the trees that are there, between the trees?
Sorry,
There's
so
no trees at this point.
the marina is on this side
Yeah,
up here.
past the trees.
Yep.
Past the trees. Yeah. All right. So this will be the same kind of space distance. Peyton, maybe you can help me out with where the ice skating rink ended,
Correct.
basically. Is that that area? Okay. So we still have that ingress and egress along that path. Tammy, I don't want to interrupt you,
The
but
question is the egress. I think I'm having troubles, and I apologize. This is all the upper level where the ice skating was.
Yep.
And the bottom side of the diagram that you're showing is the space that is in between the edge and then the winter garden, what we used to call it, correct, the enclosure.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
thanks so much. Before I go to Jeff, I have a quick question about the tables will be having access here. That's great. Do you need to be a paying customer to enter this space?
No,
No.
So
completely
I
free to the
could come
public.
and sit, I could bring whatever I want and
Yep.
hang out. All right, cool. Thank you. Jeff, go ahead.
All right. Well, you just answered one of my questions. Thanks for asking that, Justine. A couple other points. One is more of a comment slash request, and that is during the setup, the time period at 9 p.m. to midnight. Please make sure the trucks are mindful that when they go into reverse, they will be beeping like crazy. There's residential building right next to that. So include within quietness instructions to the trucks to minimize going in reverse, maybe even avoid it, but at least minimize going in reverse. So that's request comment. This second question area is what kind of sound system noise will be emitted from this place?
So,
It's
yeah, go ahead, Annie.
it is nothing louder than what currently exists now. That's the ambient, the low ambient music that is played throughout the speakers that currently exist. So it'll be exactly the same.
Okay, so once again, there's residential building next door. I know in past summers, there have been residential complaints from, I don't think from this spot, but from the restaurant adjacent to it. And I would ask, well, number one, be mindful of the fact that there is a residential building there. And number two, don't get into a battle of the bands with your neighboring restaurants. You may intend to be silent, but if they're blasting, please don't blast in response. So
Yeah, Jeff, we really appreciate that feedback and have always made sure that the minute we get a call that our restaurant is being too loud, we'll make sure to speak with them and turn down the volume. And the same goes for Portside as well. If anything gets too loud, please just call us and we'll make sure to take care of it right away.
okay, thank you.
And Peyton, will there be a number that we can call in the real time? Because
I'm happy to give you my number.
yeah, wow. So you're going to be taking on the responsibility. You know what? Share it with Lucian and
Yeah,
tell us
absolutely.
all. But yeah, share it with him so we can talk about it. Because keep listening before you give out your personal number. Maybe that you're going to have for it. But whoever it is who says they'll be available should be available. All right, thank you, Sarah. Go ahead.
You mentioned a library for, is it for children and adults? And you said at the boat, but boat bar is the way it's pronounced.
Sure. Let me go back. Thank you, Sarah. That's a great question. So if you go back, Peyton, to the, there is a faux, you can see the outline there of a little boat. We have that as a seating area. I call that a boat bar, for lack of a better word, because it is a fake boat. In the back there are shelves. And what I decided to do with those shelves and suggested to the team was to use it as an, I call it a little library, but use it as a free little library. So the current iteration of this is to have beach reads where people could come pick up a beach read and take it for free. I have seen others that were dedicated to children. The intention with this is to work with, we have a good partnership with Penguin Random House to bring some of those books to you. But as of yet, we're not doing any kids books, but I'm sure we could consider that.
Okay, and are those books free to keep, or are you supposed to return them after you read them?
Well, I think the intention with those is like, read them, keep them, and then gift them to someone else. I like have a stack here. See, so that's
Okay.
Is that-
That's all right. The next question is, I realize there's tartinerie right there.
Mhm.
And you are also selling cocktails and things?
Tartinerie is. They are currently selling them, and they will continue to operate. Yes.
What
It will
about,
only be with the current setup right now. There will be no sale of liquor outside of that.
there's no portside bar?
Correct.
Okay, great. Last question. Where you have the stage, are you anticipating live music?
No.
No, live music isn't allowed. So the stage is more for if I needed for programming purposes, like our seashell crafts or anything like that, where someone needed to be apart from the people in the audience, we use that there.
Great. I
Stages.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Thanks very much.
Of course.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Sarah. And thanks. This is actually really helpful. And Sarah, yeah, you asked about the stage, which I was concerned about, because that is close to the ingress and egress part where the entry is. So that's going to be interesting. But I love the idea of the crabs. I'm not quite sure what that is, but that sounds fun. I see Marianne Braverman's hand is up. Marianne, if you want to speak or have a question, please do so. Lucian, you have to unmute her though, or ask her to unmute.
Yep. She's unmuted now.
The
right.
trucks, excuse me, the trucks that are bringing things in, are they going to approach from North End Avenue?
I'll jump in on this, Annie. My name is Courtney Whitelock. I'm the Director of Arts and Events for our New York offices. Yes, the vehicles will be approaching from North End Avenue.
Okay.
Yep.
One other question. Recently, where the cherry trees are planted at Brookfield had been closed for a while. And as best I can tell, it's because they cleaned and revarnished the benches in there. But it completely cut off that area from any access. So all I would ask is and it may not be your job, but you probably know whose job it is, to find out when these decisions are made to cut off an area for a while because of necessary work, it's just so helpful to know that ahead of time. So we can let people know in the community that something's happening, it's actually something good. And, but we have to put up with a little inconvenience to get to that good of the new and improved or newly fixed up benches.
Yes, I can step in there quickly. So we just reopened it. We closed it down. You're correct, for just a little revamping, making sure that the grass had some time to rest and grow. But absolutely, we will take that back and make sure that you guys are aware next time.
I wasn't talking about the grass. The whole walkway was shut down in there.
Okay.
And I believe it's because of the benches being refurbished. So, yeah, we're used to grass being taken out of the.
Commission, yes, regularly. You're right, Marianne.
Right, okay,
Yes.
all right.
We will definitely make sure we notify you going forward.
And maybe I'll find a way to get you the email for Battery Park City seniors. So if we get that information, we can share it.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Marianne. That's a really good point. Yes, it reminds me, since we have Peyton on the line, just to make a note that there seem to be times when the oval lawn, that's the grassy area in the middle, was closed. And I was not aware that the benches area, the walkways were also closed, but okay. And yeah, it's difficult on the community when it's closed. So, and I'm sure the workers don't like it much either, because it's such a beautiful space. But if any time that's downtime that is not to repair the grass can be avoided, that would be great.
Absolutely. We only take it offline in times where we do need to do repairs. But you guys have made a great point, and we'll make sure that the community is notified going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Marianne. Anybody else? I don't see any other hands. Thank you, Tammy, for coming on the call and giving us your opinion, because you asked all the questions I was going to ask, so it saved my voice, and I appreciate that. Anyway, thank you, Peyton, and thank you, Courtney, and thank you, Annie. And I guess this might be my theme for the night, but I would love to have notice sooner. And I don't mind squeezing you guys in. That's not the point. The point is that if we were going to have a resolution, or we wanted to have more people come in to speak about this, we don't have time to give them notice. And as I said to somebody earlier today, or as Lucian said to me, that I then passed on, the community board is slow government. We operate on a 30-day cycle. We can't do anything too quickly because we can't jump through hoops. We only have the meetings when we have the meetings. And things like this, things like the skylight presentations, it was so crammed and so pushed that what I'm going to ask to happen is after the installation on the 27th, and then whatever, I'd love you guys to come back to get a kind of a feedback at that point, just get a sense of how that went with the installation. But I also want to talk to Skylight and have them come back, Dayton, and just give them kind of a postmortem.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah,
and
we'd
you know,
be
you
more
don't-
than happy to, and
Yeah.
we are very appreciative of you guys squeezing us in tonight.
No, it's fine. It's fine. My pleasure. And Annie, your postmortem, it's not really a postmortem, but you'll get some real-time feedback.
I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that. It'll help with the load out too. So
Yeah, well, that's what I was hoping for. That's what I was hoping for. And yeah, as Jeff said, we're a residential community. You've got neighbors on both sides. The trucks coming in on the North End Avenue are going to affect the traffic flow and the parking and everything else on the north side of Battery Park City. So all of it matters, and it is a disruption. And at the end of the day, you're giving something back to the community and offering something, but you're also taking up community space. So it's a nice balance, and we appreciate your coming and working with us. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll make sure to coordinate with Lucian on the 27th.
Yes, and share your phone number or a phone,
Yep.
Peyton, where we can call in real time.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. All right. I see that Nick is here. I'm not sure if Patrick is here. I wanted to do him a service and let him go first, but I don't see him here. That's okay. He's thinking I'm not going to call on him till way later. So I am happy to let Nick, who we haven't seen in a long time, do his report early. You're going to be on with the other comments too, but some of them are presentations and some of them are discussions. So I figured I'd let you have a chance to go first and tell us all the good and welcome you back. And also, really, as this is still Memorial Day week, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And thank you, Justine and team, for the support. It's always appreciated, and it's good to see everyone. I, too, am surprised about Pat, so let me send him a quick text and tell him for once that he was going to be top of the line here.
His
I think that
punishment is he can go last. I'm kidding.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm kidding.
But I will jump in and thank you. And Lucian, if you can kindly queue up that report, I will go off. And good to see everyone. Hey, Tammy, I saw you as well. Thank you. And I will run through this as well. I'll try to be brief. I have a lot of stuff in here. The first thing I wanted to say was, and I'll get back to it, and we're going to talk a little bit about resiliency. And for those of you who subscribe, and you should all subscribe to the Battery Park City Community Newsletter, you will have seen the notice just go out as well. And we are working, Tammy and Alice, I know who's not here, but the community board generally, and Lucian, on a fulsome response to the letter we received, I think on Friday morning, about some outstanding questions on resiliency. But first things first, and I want to let folks know we had our draft environmental impact statement here on May 19th. It was released earlier in May. Generally speaking, these documents have a 30-day comment period, which was the case here as well. Community board had requested, and we had considered, and we are glad to let you all know now it's also in the newsletter and in my report. And we'll be pushing it out again. The deadline, actually, we have extended that another week. So instead of being June 3rd, it's now it's June 10th. So we extended that out another, I guess it's 7 days or so, to provide folks some additional time for comments on the draft environmental impact statement. It is it's significant. It's going to it will contribute a little bit to kind of an actual kind of delay in when we can begin the construction, but it was important enough to us, certainly, to consider the request from the community board with whom we have worked so well for so long that we certainly want to take some additional time at your all's request. So that's in there as well, but I wanted to get that up and out and in front at the top of my report. Solution, thank you. First thing I have here, as I have had now for, God, I guess it's almost 2 years, is a COVID update. I just always put information there from the state about individuals now that are 5 years old and older are eligible to receive the vaccine and the booster. I have a link there on page 2 for booster shots. Interestingly enough, on COVID-19 testing, which is item 3 on page 2, there is and has been, I believe have been for some time, but I wanted to make sure we all knew about it again. There was a at-home COVID-19 test kit pickup location here in Battery Park City at the Battery Park City Library. So you can go in there. They have hours Monday through Friday, 12 to 4, and those are tests that can be used on people who are at least 2 years of age. Okay.
And Nick, I also, since you're talking about COVID, I noticed yesterday that there was a LabQ COVID testing site in front of the bank in Chase Bank on South End Avenue. At least it was there yesterday.
Okay.
And that's a cool thing. So I was wondering if I was going to be thanking you for that, or they just came by, or whatever it was. But it was nice. I got COVID tested. I'm sick, but I don't have COVID.
Good. I mean, you can thank me. I'll take it. But no, that was not my doing. But I'm glad that it was. I'm glad that it's there, and to the extent that this is not quite all yet behind us, let's please all continue to stay safe and get boosted if we haven't been vaxxed. And you know, although we're seeing rates kind of go up and down, I was on a call the other day. I think it was at the full board meeting, Tammy, actually, when the borough president had said we're now in like wave 5 in New York City, which is incredible to think about. Thankfully, we're not seeing the hospitalization rates follow those spikes. So folks are getting it, but due to what I believe is a fairly high vaccination rate across New York State or New York City, I think it's upwards of 95%. We are thankfully not seeing real kind of associated spikes in hospitalization. Nonetheless, so I wanted to make sure we had that information. Bottom of page 3, we had announced on May 4th, I was away, but we had put out a public affordability survey for folks who are Battery Park City homeowners. You can read about that there. But the idea is to to assist low and moderate income residents of Battery Park City homes from significant ground rent increases as part of our strategic plan. We have the links there for the survey and have an RFP out to develop a what will be essentially a condominium owner ground rent assistance program. So there's information there on that. Moving down into summer events. Now, I went a little deep on this because June is a big month. I will try to tick through a number of these quickly. But nonetheless, as you all know, our pride and joy in our parks and in the parks is our year-long programming, which is now thankfully back in full swing and hopefully for good. We have it available in a number of different languages. This Saturday and Sunday in Wagner Park, it's a Giulietta e Romeo. It's a play off of Romeo and Juliet by the famous playwright Riccardo Zandonai. Again, it'll be in Wagner Park. It's a multimedia experience, and it should be really quite something. So it's free to attend. Obviously, there is the link you can click on to register to attend. And it really should be a magnificent experience. It's a really big deal, and it's part of the Festival of New York, which is a citywide celebration of parks and open spaces as the city recovers from the pandemic. Our next blood drive is coming up. I always take the opportunity to thank the local community for giving blood, and our next one is next Wednesday, June 8th, from 12 to 6 in the regular place and time. 6 River Terrace. You'll be seeing ads in the local publications for that as well, and you have the link there to register. So thanks all. Continue to do that. We have our next film, this time in person, part of our kind of our film series that happens in River Terrace. It's a Hungarian filmmaker, or based on Hungarian film folktale, Son of the White Mare. Should be really interesting. Sounds actually a really interesting thing to attend. As always, free popcorn will be served and a discussion will follow the screening, so you can click to register as well. Pride month is June, as we know, so it's June 1, the start of Pride, and we have our silent disco Pride party on on June 16th in Wagner Park from 7 to 10. The River to River Festival is back. That's the annual festival that celebrates downtown, as coordinated by the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council. That runs from June 12th to 26th, but the couple of events that are happening here are Gregory Corbino on the 12th and Craig Harris on the Swedish Midsummer Festival, which is one of the staples of our summer calendar. That takes place on June 24th. It's a Friday evening. For those of you who don't know, it's always on or about the longest day of the year to celebrate the summer solstice in partnership with our friends at the Swedish consulate. So that will be Friday the 24th, 5 to 8. The 27th, which is the following Monday, is Bpc Community Field Day. This is a relatively new event, maybe 3 or 4 years, but it has proven very quickly to be a favorite. So that is 12 noon on the 27th, which is the Monday after school. That's out. Should be a lot of fun. Juneteenth, as we know, is a celebration of Black liberation in the American South in the 1860s, post-Civil War. There is a celebration, as we've been doing for some years, on June 18th in Belvedere Plaza, and then a Good Trouble. It's titled Good Trouble. It's a Juneteenth tribute concert in partnership with the Museum of Jewish Heritage. That's on Sunday, June 19th, which is actually the day, the Juneteenth, is the day of Juneteenth. As a reminder, top of page 6, the Key Center at Stuyvesant is back open. As we know, it opened back in April. More information there, how to register. We have deeply discounted rates for local residents, and the weekends, hours of operation. Weekends, through June 26th is 1 to 9. Weekdays through June 30th is 7 to 10. And then once school is out, those hours will expand for the summer. Parks happenings at the bottom of page 6 here has become a favorite. So just a couple of things happening over the course of the next month in our parks, courtesy of our parks operation team. Some of the local pools around the neighborhood will now be filled. So the Museum of Jewish Heritage, that pool in the front, including the mirror pool in Wagner Park South Garden. The hanging baskets on South End Avenue, which is a recommendation from one of our team members, which are really just a beautiful touch. You'll see a picture there of them being planted. And they will be watered thrice weekly and are being planted with new plantings for the season. The Battery Park City Ball Field Terrace, which is, if you can picture in your mind's eye, just east of North End Avenue, when you are entering the ball fields, there's that large planted area that is now going to be redone with a whole bunch of new perennials. It's going to really be a beautiful thing to behold, and that is being planted over the course of June. We'll have some more information about the types and kinds of flowers there, but next time you're by that way on the newly refurbished terrace, you will see brand new plantings in that planting bed as well. And bulbs for the fall have been ordered as well very early to make sure we have as wide a variety as we can for the plantings throughout Battery Park City. Spotted lanternfly, we've done a bunch on, but we are starting to see a couple of the nymphs around. We have the spotted lanternfly traps. As we know, you could read more about it. But if you do see them in Battery Park City, please feel free to note them on the iNaturalist page for Battery Park City, which is noted there. And then, yes, you can squash them. They are an invasive species and problematic in a number of places across the American Northeast. Okay, ball field summer hours, as we know, it's now 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. All those sports are in full swing on the newly resilient ball fields. So thanks again to the community board, especially for their years of work with us on that. Very proud to know, though, those ball fields are protected against storm surge, which I should note and leads me into the next topic. June is not only Pride Month, but June 1 is also the start of hurricane season. So we are now in another hurricane season, which runs through, I believe, the end of August. Every time we enter hurricane season, we are very mindful of the risks we face and very eager to obviously continue and build upon the progress we've made over these years with resiliency. So with resiliency updates, we have a couple of items here for you. So the Northwest Bpc Resiliency Project, we have last engaged here. We had we had a presentation back in December, and then we had breakout rooms for different folks who had attended. Many of you were there. Those videos are linked there, as well as the presentation. What we're going to do toward the end of June, I'm going to have an exact date shortly, but Justine, I wanted to certainly have your committee have word of it tonight, and then as we get toward Alice's EPC committee, I will have a more precise date. But it looks like the week of June 27th, which is that last full week in June. It's prior to the July 4th holiday. We're going to have an open house on the Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project. Just like hey, here's where we've been with the project. Here's where we are. We're still in advance of the design starting, but just to kind of catch up everyone up on, in case you've missed where we were, here are the alignments that we have discussed considering, whether it be Chambers Street or Harrison Street or North Moore Street. Here's the project, just to kind of get everyone re-baselined on the North project. We've been making progress on a number of the others, but
Nick,
the week of June 27th. Go ahead.
So with this,
Yep.
Are these updates on these links on your website too? If people don't so this way, so it's an easy place to find, right? So it's all on there besides the newsletter.
Yep, Battery Park City Resiliency. Actually, if you click the link next to item number 11, that's hyperlink BPC Resiliency Project Updates.
It takes you to your
that
website.
brings you directly to our resiliency page. Yes, all that's there. Now,
Thank
I
you.
didn't put every link in this report because the report would be forever long. I just put kind of the most recent stuff, but all the historical information, data, presentations, videos from the past 4+ years are available there for folks
Thank
to
you.
see.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. It's fine. It's important, and thank you for asking. I want to make sure folks know that information is available to them. South Battery Park City Resiliency Project, the scale models are on display now at 200 Rector Street. Justine has no excuse because I know where she lives, but when she gets down there to see them, they're in the community room for folks to take a look, and they are available for folks to go in Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's also the side of where our Allied Universal Command Center is. So just go on in, go into the community room, and you can see the scale models. I touched upon the comment period for the draft environmental impact statement being extended out a week to June 10th. And again, with construction to start in late summer 2022, there are signs pictured there now that have been posted throughout Wagner Park in the vicinity of the Museum of Jewish Heritage. We'll be looking to add more throughout the project area, but that is just kind of another way of getting the word out to the public about the construction that will be beginning in Wagner Park. We will also be doing, adding to kind of the suite of tools in our tool set that we have for helping get the word out, including direct mailing to Battery Park City residents and a number of other channels, social media, blog, press release, mailings, as I said, physical postings, etc. So always looking for more ideas about how to get the word out, but certainly want to make sure folks are tracking and understand changes coming to Wagner Park to protect it from storm surge and sea level rise. And then Battery Park City Ball Fields and Community Center, we know, is complete, and very happy to have that done for the 50,000 local youth who use those fields on an annual basis. So just wrapping up here very briefly, we had Ballet Hispanico last Thursday. There's a picture of a wonderful event taking place right near Belvedere Plaza by the pylons. Community composting we cover, and we have our board meeting schedule with the balance of meetings for the rest of the year. Our First Precinct Community Council, the next meeting is always the last Thursday of the month. I confirmed again, that's Thursday, June 30th. We will get further information, whether that's going to be in person or via Zoom. That's still TBD. But for those of you who are engaged with the First Precinct, you know those the real pros over at the First Precinct do a wonderful job of keeping folks apprised of goings on and public safety considerations in and around the neighborhood. And then we just have the upcoming permitted walks, runs, and events, including the Brookfield Place Portside, which is on that chart. I'm sorry that Lucian, that's at the bottom of page 9. Sorry. My formatting got a little kludgy, so when I fix this in post-production, this chart will be a little clearer for you. But we have that coming up, as well as the PS 89 annual talent show and fundraiser, and a picnic for PSIS 276, NYPD Run Club, and the Tribeca Film Festival, which I know had emailed you all directly. They're doing screenings on the lower plaza of Waterfront Plaza. There should be really good, but it's not going to be a whole bunch of folks. It's a fairly small footprint, about 400 people or so. So that is the long and the short of it. Let me see if Pat got back to me. I don't know if he's on yet, Lucian, but he can walk you through. Oh, he said he's on, but he cannot.
He's here.
Okay. And Justine, thank you. I don't know what to do with myself now going first, but I'm going to listen with interest to Pat and to the rest of the presentation. And thank you. It's great to be back.
Thank you for
They
being here.
locked
And-
me out.
They locked you
Any
out,
questions?
Pat. That's so funny. For the first time, I was going to let you go. Well, I was going to let you go first, but it was
And any-
second.
We'll do it again, Pat. We'll do it
Any
again.
que-
You don't
Yeah.
Of course,
escape
but
up.
Yep. Go ahead, Pat. Talk, but I can't hear you.
Okay. So basically, this month, what we came up with on the graffiti, there was 56 reports for this year, while last year there was 2. Basically, there was so many graffiti reports because there was constant repeats of the same graffiti, you know, on a light pole or on a sign stand. But really, the new part of the graffiti for this month was dealing with the Irish Hunger Memorial, the lit benches. It was from graffiti on that, and Teardrop Park bathroom. Group of kids had locked themselves into the bathroom and spray painted it all up with graffiti. So that's what happened there. Homeless, for this year, we only had 2. Lost and found property, there was 12 reports on that. Park rolls was 27 reports. Vendor solicitation was 0. And for dogs, we had 28 reports this year, while last year in May we had 37.
So, Patrick, what can you say about, if anything, about the motorcycles, for lack of a better word, on the Esplanade that I've seen now on 4 different occasions? They're just riding around at night, and they're, I mean, they're not like Harley Davidson motorcycles, but they're definitely motored bicycles that are not motorized city bikes. Has that come to your attention? I know Tammy sent some emails earlier on, and I was out and about at the same time she was, so I saw it. She beat me to the emails.
Really, it's me trying to reach out and Nick trying to reach out to the first precinct on dealing with it. Like I said, they're legal. So now the definition that comes down to is this: is it a motorized bicycle, which is okay, and is it allowed to be on bicycle paths, or is it considered along to be a motor vehicle, which is supposed to be in the street? So
Patrick,
that's what it's coming
Yeah,
down to.
and thank you, Tammy. I was going to call on you next. These were not motorized bikes.
Patrick, these are
Okay.
Revel scooters riding the Esplanade, which is illegal by the Revel terms and conditions, illegal by city code, and not allowed to be on the Esplanade. They are road vehicles only, and they were clearly Revel bikes.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Unfortunately, I couldn't open up the email that you sent me. I guess with all the preventive measures that these IT people now are putting now on my computer. But, you know, like I said, I'm following up with the first precinct concerning that stuff. Obviously, you know, somebody walking up and they're flying by them. I mean, how are you going to stop them in that
Patrick.
respect?
I understand that. They weren't so fast that they were flying. They passed several, they had to have passed Allied people. They went from one end of the Esplanade all the way around the marina.
Yep.
So
Yep.
even if for some odd reason you don't have one person on the Esplanade, I would hope that perhaps the relationship with Brookfield Security is good enough that somebody needs to say something, step something. It's not viable. And I appreciate your technology security people, but you got to be able to receive emails from your constituency.
No, I understand. I understand. And like I said, I'm trying to follow up with the first precinct. When I get back, because I'm going to be away, when I get back, I'll be on with them again concerning this. I'm busy trying to get somebody that they'll be over here and sort of assigned to give it a special attention. That's what I'm looking to try and do. I had that for a short time until all the protests occurred, where I had some, there was a cop assigned from the first precinct over in Battery Park. And as soon as the first protest occurred, that was the end of that. You understand what I'm saying? There, so that's what I'm looking forward to try and do.
Okay. And then I had, Justine, I'm sorry, I had one follow-up question for Nick. Thank you very much for extending the comment period to June 10th. That's very appreciated. I'd like to know, once the emails get sent to Claudia Filomena for the public comment period, will those be posted publicly? Or do the,
Yeah. Can you hear me, Tammy? I'm
kind
sorry,
of,
can you hear me, Tim?
yes.
Yes, sorry. Yes. My throughput is not great here. Apologies. Let me turn the video off. Maybe the sound is better.
It's better with the video off. Sorry,
Okay.
Nick.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Believe me, I have a Robin Forst once told me that this was someone else's line, but I have a face made for radio, so happy just to keep the audio on. But yes, send emails to Claudia. That will all be included in the final environmental impact statement. It doesn't mean I should note, though, that things that come in that we can answer in advance of that, we'll also try and answer in advance. So the letter we received from the Community Board, will answer that before that, but it will also be reflected in the full and final document. So all the comments that come in will be reflected there. Okay. And Tammy, yes, my fault on that as well. I've been connecting, chasing with the first precinct. I missed Brian last week, but I was texting with him today, and I will get back with him on mopeds. I'm sure that the more data we have, although we don't want to have more instances of it, the more data you have, it's more helpful to kind of try to detect patterns and strays and locations where they are. And we'll make sure we get the folks who should not be riding an Esplanade off the Esplanade, and we'll get the right resources brought to bear.
Thank you for that. Tammy, anything else? You might be frozen too. No, you're not, maybe.
I'm not. I try to be though, but I'm not. Nick, for outstanding questions that we have that are coming from EPC regarding the DEIS, we'll submit those as well shortly. That is
Okay.
That is another letter that is yet to come.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey Nick, I received one question via the chat about the police memorial. Can you talk about the status of the reconstruct or the renovations of that?
Yes. The panels. I just had this. Shoot, I'm sorry. I want to say toward the end of. June, but I don't want to speak out of turn any further than I have. Let me follow up with you further. But yes, I believe it's the end of this month, where we should have the new panels and with the new etch names. But I can follow up separately and then include it next time I'm back in front of you all.
And
Okay.
question, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that I'll put my email in the chat for everyone. Of course, I always want everyone to have my email, but the person who asked the question, feel free to email me and I'll make sure to connect you with the information as soon as Nick provides it.
Yep.
Okay. And before I call on Kelly, which I will in a second, Kelly. So Nick, with the police memorial, so that'll open up when you give us the date, that'll open up the police memorial, but you're still doing work on Kowalski Plaza, correct?
So the Port Authority.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, yes, the work is still being
Yes.
done because the construction, everything is still up and it's going to be blocked. And I can't remember the time frame. I know it was months.
Tim Yan, who's been here before, and Michael Levy, who we know is a great partner of ours, has been in front of the committee a few times. They're actually going to have some additional projects coming up on Kowalski Plaza, again, resiliency related.
Okay.
But I've connected with them. and I'd kind of gotten on their radar, as we usually do, that they should all be before you all coming up for a project which I believe is going to be set to start like next spring. So there's some time, but nonetheless, I want to get you all right in on that, and we will get them to a community board meeting near you in the near future to kind of read you in on some forthcoming projects on Kowski Plaza.
That would be great, and it would also be great for an update, because I know you told us about it, and I have the brain of a sieve, and I don't feel very well, so I've forgotten the timelines. But I can look it up.
No problem, and that's really really important. And yes, but to the first point you made, once the police memorial kind of upgrade and renovation is complete, that will at least be one thing that's cleared out. So that'll be helpful.
Nick, if you can post that in the poster board that's right by Kowski, that would also help, because I don't see any of the local management companies sharing that information. So that's the only other way that I can think of trying to get that into the public domain, please.
As things are opening up, that would be great.
Okay.
All right, Kelly, and I know we're going to jump into the next topic, so I'm assuming your question is going to be about what Nick has talked about, but then I do want to jump into the next thing. But unmute Kelly.
Okay, Kelly, you can unmute.
Yep, he's there. Hey, Kelly.
For your service, even if it's not Memorial Day, it is a tribute for you to do your service. My question is on the quality of life statistics. Two comments. One is the homelessness statistic seems to be not even in the realm of realism, right? So what goes into that number, and what should we be doing? There's not a day that goes by that we don't see, that I personally don't see at least 3 homeless people in Battery Park. So how do we get to 2 for the whole month? So that's one question. The other one is on dogs. And I think actually the whole neighborhood appreciates putting dog signs in places where they previously were, and dogs like on the Rector Mall, that over the past year, all the COVID dogs with new people in the neighborhood with new dogs, they got trained to use that field because it didn't have the dog signs. So we now have the dog signs, but we need to make efforts to untrain the new people with dogs to stop using the grass, right? And I especially making that appeal for all the people in the neighborhood who have young kids that crawl around on that grass. It's one of the few areas where you can crawl without worrying about dog pee and dog poop. So any thoughts on that would be great, because I appreciate the signs, but people have been now conditioned to use it anyway, and they ignore the signs.
2 great questions. Patrick, do you want to answer, or should Nick?
I can start, and then Pat, certainly you can weigh in with kind of what your experiences on the ground have been. But yes, that's why in my report there, Lucian, if you would be so kind to scroll on back up, I religiously put it in my report every month about dogs, and it is at the bottom of let's see
You
here.
see the picture of the dog at the bottom. It's
the one
underneath
time I take it out because I need space. No, it's there. Okay, so
scroll down. Oh no, here.
Parks Lawns is
Other way.
Let's see. Hold on a second. Sorry. In any event, it's in my report every month. And what's the challenge with dogs is, yes, we had. Okay, there it is. I'm sorry. Page. That's right. Lucian, you beat me to it. Page 7. So yes, reminder about Parks Lawns. There are pet-free area signs up. We have this every month in the community report. Wild leashed pets, I'll say it again for the benefit of the uninitiated or the folks who want to hear it again. Wild leashed pets are permitted on hard surfaces throughout Battery Park City. They are not permitted on Parks Lawns. You'll sometimes have someone who is like, oh, it's a service animal, which is okay, but the service animal still needs to be leashed. So pets, dogs, service animals, what have you, always need to be leashed. And unless it's a service animal, it needs to be on a hard surface, not on a lawn. If there are additional ideas folks have, in addition to simply just maybe speaking with their neighbors and reminding them, that would be great. We have special patrol officers who can issue summonses for failure to obey parks rules. Oftentimes, and Pat can speak to some of the anecdotal evidence and the actual experience of interacting with these folks. Sometimes they won't produce ID or they'll run away. I had when somebody emailed me who thanked me for the signs and said, I saw the sign and the person right in front of me looked at the sign and had his dog go on the lawn anyway. So we want folks to follow the rules that exist for the enjoyment of all so that our parks, green lawns can be enjoyed by as many people as they can. If you are seeing a dog on a lawn, please call Allied Universal directly. They are available to you on a 24/7 basis. We can have an ambassador there and directly. We can remind the folks that they need to move along. And if that individual or set of individuals are continuing to not obey the clearly posted rules that exist for the benefit of everyone, then we can summons those folks with a fine that's payable in court if they are failing to obey the rules. Pat, did you want to add anything?
And Pat, you might be able to add.
I was just gonna add on the homeless, on dealing with the homeless. The reason why you only have 2 reports is that's because that's 2 homeless people that the safety ambassador interacted with. In other words, they were either sleeping on a bench or they might have been in the bathroom, completely disrobing, that type. Obviously, it's an open park. It's free and open to the public. As long as they're not doing anything, they're sitting on the bench, everything's fine. I mean, obviously, there's more homeless people in the park than just 2. The challenge with the dog owners is when you walk up to them, everybody's a service dog. Okay, and like what Nick pointed out is, the service dog also needs to be on a leash, and you'll get pushback even from people that do have a service dog, and they will show the license that they have a service dog, and they'll have them off the leash, and you'll say they have to be on the leash. It's a law, So it's come to a point now where we will give a summons to somebody that has a service dog where the dog is off the leash. We're at that point right now. Beforehand, we were explaining to them the law, but certain people don't want to listen to it. Okay, so that's where that's at.
Thank you, Pat. And yeah, you're right. I'm glad for you pointing out it's not a crime to be homeless. It is a crime to be whatever. It is inappropriate, and they need to be moved on if they're breaking the park rules just like anybody else. But just because they're here and they're homeless, it's not a crime. Betty, go ahead.
Could I just have a
Okay,
follow-on
go ahead.
to that?
Follow up quick,
Just
Kelly.
very
Yep.
quickly, because I'm not trying to make homelessness
Of course
illegal.
you're not.
I'm
You're
worried
not.
about. There's been, in my opinion, an increase in people who are homeless and clearly in some sort of distress, meaning they're clearly intoxicated or addicted to something. They're in half disarray. So it's more out of a humane issue. Do you expect the community to make a call on that to get these people help, or just to ignore it? I'm not sure everybody knows what to do.
We're not ignoring that. What basically happens is that report would go under medical, because we've had homeless people. Let's say I would classify homeless people where they got the needle still stuck in their arm and they're out cold. Okay, and an ambulance was called for them and responded and took them to the hospital. But that would go under medical reports for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pat, let me just, and thank you for that. So Kelly, yes, and Lucian, I will send this to you after the meeting as well. I'll add it to my list. So when you go to 311, either calling or going online and you search for homeless services, because again, homelessness isn't just simply limited to Battery Park City, right? It's endemic to the city writ large. There are a number of services available for homeless individuals. The first thing I would say is if you see a homeless individual or any individual, irrespective of housing status, who is posing a danger to themselves or anyone else, your move should be the move as it always is, which is to call 911 and get the police there to deal with an emergency or potentially dangerous situation, full stop. There is obviously a lot of gray area there, right? Where a person necessarily be causing imminent harm to themselves or someone else, but maybe just having a tough day. Maybe it looks like they're having a health issue, or they are, otherwise just having some problems. And there is a service for that as well that the city provides through the Department of Homeless Services. It's called Homeless Person Assistance. And I will send you, Lucian, the link to that. You know all this anyhow, but I'll send it to you to share with the group. We also have a very good relationship, as I'm sure Community Board 1 does, with Goddard, which is the local downtown provider of homeless services here. They have outreach teams that can respond to instances of homeless people in need of assistance.
And they'll come directly? You can call them directly?
You can call, go through 311, it goes through homeless services and they get Goddard there. It may be directly through Goddard, but they are the kind of the downtown chapter that contracts with the City Department of Homeless Services. But yes, they do homeless outreach directly to folks in need on the street.
Good questions, Kelly, as always. And yeah, sorry, didn't mean to suggest that you were.
Yeah, no, not at all. We all share, I know, the same goal, which is to make sure that folks who need help.
Yeah, exactly.
In a
Get the help they
timely
need.
and humane fashion, and we want to make sure that happens.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm not clicking on all sixes. All right, Betty and then Lucian, if that's okay, Lucian.
You can flip it around. Have Lucian first.
Thanks, Betty. Just real quick, Patrick, are the ambassadors trained to administer Narcan?
No, they're not.
And they don't carry it.
They're just trained on basic first aid.
And so they don't carry Narcan, huh?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, what we do have is, what is it? If you're having a heart attack, we have one of those machines in the office. They're also, right. And they're also trained for that. But that's it.
I'm sorry. Do you think there'd be any willingness for them to carry Narcan just to have in case there's somebody who can administer it, who needs it? Just because it's not that big of a thing to carry.
Lucian, we can take that back. Certainly. Want to work with Pat, obviously, and our team here. Make sure we're working any kind of legal considerations, but certainly a fair question, and we can take that back for you.
Thanks.
Betty, thanks, Lucian.
Yeah, I'm going to go my usual. There's been a lot of discussion here about service dogs, and I'm going to guess wildly that most of these dogs are not service dogs. They're comfort dogs, which are dealt with very differently. The Americans with Disability Act only covers service dogs, not comfort dogs. And what you can do is legally ask somebody what activity of daily living that dog was specifically trained for. That is allowed by law to ask. So if it is a service dog, they should be able to tell you, such as those that work with the blind. It's pretty straightforward what it is, but it can be other things that help people with other problems. My concern is service animals. Anybody can call their dog a service animal. And to some degree, that's fine. Certainly, it should be enforced that they follow the rules like everybody else, whether it's service or comfort. But I also don't want people to misrepresent the lies that you're hearing from people or the unimportant things they're saying because they're not service animals.
I understand what you're saying. I agree with what you are saying. We're going by what we were informed by the BPCA law department as to what we can ask. And once we're told certain condition, we're told that's it, stop, all bets off. So that's what we're going by. Okay, I'll definitely take it back. I'll discuss it with Nick and that, and we'll take it back and see how if they change the way we're going to approach it. Okay.
Your hand's raised, but go ahead, you can talk again.
No.
Oh, you're putting it down. Okay, it's up again. And Lucian, your hand is up too.
Thanks so much.
Okay, Betty, I don't think you want to talk, but do you? I'm not clear. Okay, and everybody's down. All right, so if that is all, and Betty, interrupt me if I'm misinterpreting that you want to talk. Okay, you're good. All right. I think we can close this out. Patrick, thank you. Oh, Detta, go ahead. You get your question. Go ahead, please. Just unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I guess what I'm just hearing about the dogs is that whether it's a comfort dog, a service dog, or just a regular pet that doesn't fit any of those definitions, the main thing is to get people to comply with the rules. And
Yes.
and that seems to be a challenge. And you know, no matter what they use the dog for, or what that dog is to them in their life, like they need to comply. And I don't have any immediate suggestions, but I just wanted to keep the focus on that.
No, that makes sense, Detta. I mean, I could see again, as Betty said, blind is easy. So if someone who is sight impaired is needing to sitting on the grass at a picnic with other people, the dog would need to be with the person. That makes sense. But that's also easier to ascertain if that's accurate or not. But you're right, it's difficult and people take advantage, and that is what I think Betty is referring to. That is what I think that Patrick was referring to. I've heard that before from Patrick. And I've seen it where people have said, "Oh, this is a service dog. You can't bother me." And it's just like, well, it's good to know that service dogs do need by law to be leashed because they should be. And following the rules, we are living in a city where a lot of people, and we really have to take care of each other and respect each other's space. And by not leashing your dog, not picking up after your dog, letting your dog go on the grass where people play, children play and crawl, people sit, it's disrespectful to your neighbors. And that would be so great if our community would get that message out. So I get it. I hear you. And I think the authority's been trying to get that out there. I think with their, it's a dog's life. They try to say it nicely and with humor. But at the end of the day, people really need to pay attention. And I don't know how to get that message across, but that is the point. Respect. It's lacking. But anyway, I think we can wrap this up. I see no other hands. So Lucian, if you pull up the agenda, I think our next topic is going to be talking about just sort of a discussion about Senator Cavanaugh's Part C bill, because we talked about it last time, kind of newly and fresh. And I'm glad Emily is here. So Emily, if you want to unmute yourself or you want to become a panelist, I have a feeling there's not much that we're going to be saying about it. Well, I'll tell you this. How about I give my introduction to it and tell you where I stand on it. A couple of things, and I'm not quite sure if anyone here, raise your hand in the chat if there are folks who from the Battery Park City Neighborhood Association planning to speak on this, because I wasn't clear if there was going to be a formal response from them. But raise your hand. But I'm going to talk now first. My reaction and my response to Part C of Senator Cavanaugh's bill, which, so Lucian, as you're scrolling through this, if this is the A amendment, the Part C is not in it.
C is in A, it's not in B. I mean, not in 9032B has eliminated this section, but 9032A has this section.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. So, okay, there you go. This talks about eligible homeowner residents. Okay, this whole section.
Sorry to interrupt, Justine. Just if it might be easier. So as you guys know, we removed Part C from 9032. It is now actually a third bill. It's S9455.
Oh,
so,
wait. S9.
Sorry, this is very recent.
Yeah. It's S9455. Okay, and it's in the Senate. Where does it stand?
So I think I think this is maybe yesterday or 2 days ago. So it's just, so Senate committees aren't meeting I mean, obviously tomorrow's the last day of session.
Mhm.
So anything that is going to move has to go through the rules committee. It's sort of a wonky procedure, but it's
Mhm.
basically, I guess you could say it's in committee. But yeah, so that's a separate bill, and there are a couple of minor changes. I don't actually have the details because I'm not on the legislative team, so I don't have
Sure.
the specifics. But there were, I know that Brian made a couple of smaller changes just to improve it and strengthen it a little bit. But I can get more information on that.
So when you say it's in committee, are you saying that there's no chance that it's going to go forward at this point in time, or you're saying anything's possible?
It still can, yeah. So,
Okay, in that case, it's relevant to talk about it.
yes.
Okay, that's what I
But
was
if
trying to
Lucian, if you want to pull that, I can try and get the link really quickly. But that would be the updated text.
Yeah, send me the link, Emily, if you can.
Okay.
For by and large, the Part C, I think the elements of Part C as it
Yes.
existed in the A mod version will provide enough of a kind of a groundwork for
guidelines.
you all to
Yeah.
discuss it, right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
and Justine, I just pulled up 9455, and what it looks to me like conceptually
mhm,
is that remember original 9032 had 4 parts, A, B, C, and D.
correct.
A and B were for SCREE and related
Agree.
programs. D was to extend the ground lease, and then C had to do with the ground rent freeze. And it looks
Correct.
to me like that's now been taken out and is presented as a separate bill,
Yep.
E9455. So 9032B no longer has that section in it, but 9455 is that section essentially.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, that's what I understood Emily to be saying. And I've understood that I'm not going to get them straight, okay? The bill that talks about scree and dree and the bill that talks about extending the ground rent, that's all one bill, the first one, that has now passed the Senate. I believe a companion bill was pushed forward in the Assembly, and that is up for vote. I don't know the status of it, but that's going in one direction. What we're here to talk
So-
about today and to focus on, oh, sorry, Emily, I'm going to say it.
Sorry, no. I don't know if I misheard you. 9032, so SCREE, DREE, SHE-D, and the ground rent
Yeah.
has not passed the Senate yet. The board majority bill did pass the Senate.
Oh, the board majority bill passed.
Yeah.
Okay. This one has not. I thought this one did too. Okay. The board majority
not
bill
yet.
passed the Senate. All right. Never mind. Let's focus on C because we're getting ourselves insane. We're getting me insane. So basically, just focusing on C, and then this is the idea basically saying that there should be some means testing to determine who would be entitled, what condo owners in Battery Park City would be fall into the category to be entitled to have a ground rent freeze, and then there's some talk about rebate later, or meaning not a rebate, payback upon sale of the ground rent that's been frozen. And I'm not sure what else is in here. The things that I want to put forth and just make a statement on before we even go forward and have a discussion about it are a couple of things. I really want to take a whole new picture because from the perspective of the people who live here in this neighborhood who are homeowners, it is frustrating and angering and disheartening that the Battery Park City Authority, because they've come out with a similar suggestion to this and same ideas, different levels of means testing. And even Senator Cavanaugh, and I get that this is a first step. So I guess step one will be, thank you for making some step forward to present something that is not as, that gives some nod to affordability and concerns of affordability. But that said, what is upsetting to the people that live here and that are homeowners here is the distinction that is given and the higher standard that is being put upon condo owners who are individual people and family members as compared to the terms and conditions that are given to big developers, big real estate interests, and commercial interests. Number one, Brookfield property. Brookfield comes forward, asks for a ground rent freeze, and whatever the conversations were, they got one. A ground rent freeze until 2049. When the homeowners ask for it, we're told that you're that the authority has to be diligent stewards of public funds. That means testing is to be sure that the homeowners who will benefit really need this help. And my question and my frustration is, why in God's name does Brookfield need this help? Okay. And the comparison between looking at this and means testing Brookfield, I don't think that happened. I don't think that happened when you were doing means testing to see who could afford Pier A and could afford the rent at Pier A. I don't think there was, and if there was, and they came to you and said, we can't make the bills, we can't pay it, you said, oh yeah, no problem. Now, I'm making it simple. I appreciate that I'm making it simple. But at the end of the day, we're telling you that this is hurting us. And you're telling us, oh no, we have to put you into the haves and the have-nots. We have to means test you. We've got to put you into categories. Instead of just looking this and saying, we will treat you just like we've treated Brookfield, just like we've treated Tribeca Point, just like we've treated Lefrak, and giving you a deal that is something that is really helpful to you. And there's no concern about means testing, no concern about any of that, because it's very frustrating to be put into a different category. And then before I move on, I want to also put you in, call you all on notice about a ground rent comparison to the residential landlords, which might be an even better comparison. I'm going to tell you that there's the same double standard that applies to the rich corporate landlords who own residential rental buildings in Battery Park City as compared to condo owners, okay? Because they have much more clout. The total amount of residential ground rent BPCA collected in 2020 was $24.1 million. Divided among the 8,549 households, both rental and condo, this comes to about $2,822 per household, average. But this obligation is not split evenly. Even though the condos are only 44% of the total households, they pay 88% of the total residential ground rent. And even though rentals make up 56% of all households, they pay only 11.5% of residential ground rent. So this means, let's put it simple and easy, like I like how Pamit did that and put it simple and easy. This means that a landlord for an average rental household in Battery Park City is paying $580 per year in ground rent per unit, but the average condo owner is paying $5,688 per year. So you're punishing middle-class owners, and even if they're not middle class, you're punishing all condo owners with a penalty of 9.8 times what they should be paying for it to be fair and to be reasonable. And what is frustrating here is that you're subsidizing millionaire corporate landlords. I'm not talking about the tenants now, mind you, okay? Because the tenant just pays the rent. It's the landlord who owns the building that's paying the ground rent, okay? So you're subsidizing the millionaire corporate landlords with a 90% discount relative to what they should be paying compared to everybody else. And so I want to know why we can't get to the table and get the ground rent freeze that Brookfield got. I want to know why we can't get the ground rent per building that Gateway got. It's very frustrating. I don't want and think it's fair to be means tested. And I don't think it's fair or right for the Battery Park City Authority to be coming forward and talking about being diligent stewards of public funds when they're giving all these corporate giveaways. Just because they're bigger than we are and stronger than we are and more powerful than we are. And more powerful than Leonardo DiCaprio, apparently, because that's the name you all like to throw around. Okay, just because they're more powerful than even he is, does not mean it's right. And that's where I'm going to stop and push this off to the committee. And Nick, you will get a chance to speak. Don't worry. I know I wouldn't have this conversation without you being here. So thank you for listening to me. And I know I go off, but you've heard me from back in the day when 300 million is enough. I'm back to 300 million is enough. All right, Kelly, you go first, because I don't see anybody on the committee with their hands raised.
Hi, and I guess that was Emily giving that update. I guess just a couple of question and then a comment. Is the S9455 bill, is there a companion assembly bill that goes with that? Because I think just about everybody's surprised that that bill exists.
As far as I know, there's not a companion at the time, but I'd have to double check with our team.
Okay, and all right. Well, I'd appreciate it if we do know, because I like I said, we've been very closely working with Senator Cavanaugh's office as well as all the Assembly representatives, and that's going to come to a complete surprise to everyone. The my comment to echo Justine's feeling in words is one of process, right? I think you have, like many things, you have a lot of people in this community that are very interested in affordable housing and affordable costs across the board. We recognize that it is a strength of the community, that we don't want a neighborhood that is only uber rich and elites who don't care about the cost of anything. But in order to get something fair, really requires a full transparency of the sources and uses of funds across the board. So my comment is on process, to whether it's this bill or any other bill, to try to cram in a one variable fix, a rebate, and I'll give you an example of this, why this is problematic, to try to take one potential fix to, quote, affordability without carefully thinking through the ramifications is sort of legislative lunacy to me, right? The idea that we wouldn't have unintended consequences in the neighborhood that would be worse than the problem we're trying to cure is extremely low probability. For example, I appreciate the idea that that the intention is to lower the ground rent increases on people that it's hardest hit. However, we've spoken to a number of banks that lend to this to clarify this, but they would not take that into consideration when they're lending mortgages to people, because a rebate is different than a lowered tax, because they've said very clearly it could disappear at any time, and also they make their decisions on cash flows, right? And can you meet the monthly payment? Not are you going to get some money back at the end of the tax year to equalize your tax payment, right? So my point is that anything that we do as a community, in my opinion, has to be done with full transparency about all the constituencies, right? And not just trying to appease one group at the end of a legislative session. So with that, I yield the floor, as they say.
All right, thank you, Kelly. I was on mute. Appreciate that. Echo your points. I see Bob Schneck, and I'm sorry, I will call on you, Brittany, and I will get to you, Marianne, but I'm going to call, and I see Bob Schneck, so I'm going to call on you, Bob, first, because you're on the board.
I just have a kind of question. I've lived in Battery Park City since 1988. I've paid every one of my bills and all of my pilots ever since the beginning of this. So my question is, how differently was I treated than if I were on the other side of the street? If I had a similar apartment on the other side of West Street, what would my taxes have been like? What would, if you add up 34 years of living here and compare what I paid in
15%
Battery
less
Park
each year,
City?
about.
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was not on mute. Go
Yeah.
ahead, finish talking. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
But my question is, how differently was I really treated, and financially, what, how much more did I pay or not pay for being here? The other thing is that the value I've noticed of my apartment has gone down relative to apartments that are essentially comps on the other side of West Street. So what have my losses been like compared to the other groups? I've really been interested in this for a long time, obviously, and my skin is in the game here. But I would like to, kind of know how I could figure that out. Finally, I now own another apartment in the same building in Battery Park City, and I I don't think it's possible for me to own and rent such an apartment just because the costs of operating here are so onerous and difficult to meet that even just the monthly costs are so high that I would have to pass on to the renters. It's it's beyond what I could do in good conscience. So that's my those are my comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. I don't have answers for you except to say the difference in what you've paid here versus what the people pay across the street would be, if nothing else, the difference in the ground rent you paid every year. The rest of it is math that I don't know. But I'm Jeff. Let me call on you, then I'll go to Brittany, and then Mary Ann. But then after that, I'm going to go to Brittany. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just wanted to kind of refocus us a little bit. The agenda item is this Senate bill, and we've kind of morphed into a discussion of condo affordability generally. And I want to remind everyone that we actually had a very extensive, comprehensive discussion of this over many months last year, resulting in the passage of a resolution addressing this subject in June of last year. And that resolution itself was not without controversy in terms of gaining the support of people who live outside of Battery Park City and who do not own condos in Battery Park City. But the position, at least of the community board as of a year ago, was that we definitely support affordability. We explicitly referenced affordability and sustainability of middle income seniors and fixed income condominium owners currently in place. We urged the authority to negotiate in good faith. We listed a bunch of principles and so forth that should govern those negotiations. Where I start to have difficulty is when we get into the nitty-gritty of the individual negotiations. Every ground lease is different. Justine, you mentioned Gateway. Gateway stands alone because it was part of the original master plan, and it negotiated its ground lease before back in the 70s, when no one in the world was willing to sign a ground lease in Battery Park City at any price. And so it got sweetheart terms. And so it's not surprising that it continues to have sweetheart terms. It's a separate debate on whether they've lived up to their obligations. And that's been the source of the rent stabilization agreements and various lawsuits and stuff over time. But it's simply not a comparison point of the rest of the ground leases in Battery Park City, because it was negotiated in unique circumstances at a time when no one else wanted to enter into a ground lease and under a different master plan. And so that probably skews the rental market as a whole, since Gateway has 1,500 units, by far the largest rental complex in Battery Park City, maybe more than half of all of the rental units. So comparing rental units to condo units is really an apples to oranges comparison. I mean, similarly, who knows what the commercial leases that Brookfield has also negotiated in a different world and in a different commercial world than the residential ground leases. I think they all can be compared, but not on a simple basis. And if somebody wants to commission some accountants and public housing people or whatever to compare and look for unfairness from lease to lease, that's fine. But I'm willing to bet that some of the condo buildings have more favorable ground leases than others of the condo buildings. And if we want to equalize them all, that's certainly a good public policy goal. But the people who live in the favorable buildings may not feel so good about it. So I'm very comfortable in talking about objectives that we all share and that reasonably should be shared, including affordability and sustainability of the neighborhood and good faith and unintended consequences and so forth. But I start to get very, very nervous when we get into the nitty-gritty of particular ground leases. And is a freeze justified? Is an increase justified? I don't have that information. I'm not involved in the negotiations. In terms of the Senate bill itself, I thought it actually was a good start. I think it addresses a portion of the problem. It doesn't address all of the problem, to the extent that we as a community are concerned that those of limited income are being frozen out of the market because of ground rent. If that is a problem, I don't know the extent of that particular problem, but that if that is a problem, this bill is a good start. I think there's a lot of mechanical issues. Kelly made a good point in terms of how banks might look at a rebate versus, an actual freeze of the rent. Those are details that I think make this particular bill not ready for prime time right now. Similarly, the way it treats the renters in terms of defining a portion of their rent as attributable to ground rent or so forth. I'm not sure how that's workable in practice. So I think this was a valiant first step in addressing the affordability for those of limited income. I don't think this section is ready for prime time, and I'm glad it's in a separate bill, because I think the other provisions, SCREE and extending the ground lease, are ready for prime time, and I hope they pass in this session. So I don't want to get into the nitty gritty, but I just point out we've discussed this at great length a year ago over many months, and produced a resolution addressing the principles that I think we stand behind, and that are important principles that hopefully the parties can apply in their negotiations. But I start to get nervous when we get into the details of the negotiations. That's all I have to say.
No, thanks, Jeff. I respect your opinion. I disagree with pieces of it, as you know, because we've had this discussion and this debate over the years. But Brittany, I'm going to call on you next. But the one thing to say is that you're right, and it's fair that there are folks that are not privy to the more intricate details. But that's where I feel as if the people who are privy to it, and there are people on this call, myself being one of them, Pat Smith from the Homeowners Coalition, other members of the Homeowners Coalition, folks from the Battery Park City Neighborhood Association, who are privy to the details. And as obviously the Battery Park City Authority. So that's right. So no, I hear you. And I guess the biggest message that I hear you saying, and I really have no answer to this, is that as a community board that represents more than Battery Parks, we're the Battery Park City Committee, and clearly we're here to take information from Battery Park City residents and get their feedback. But as a board CB1 that represents larger than Battery Park City, we have to be balanced because our constituency is larger, which, as you said, explains exactly why the resolution that was passed last year relating to this was more measured, and basically said we support the affordability steps and affordability as a concept, but it was measured. So I understand that, and I understand that as a limitation, but I also am hearing you say that you are seeing this particular bill, S9455, as being half-baked at this point and not ready for prime time.
I said not half-baked, I think.
That's my word, sorry. Yeah, you said not ready for prime time. Sorry.
Maybe it means the same thing, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, but I guess that was more aggressive. I didn't mean it.
And I want to be clear, I'm all in favor of you negotiating by far the best deal that you possibly can, but we're not in a position to opine on the negotiations.
I hear you say that, and I guess I hear you, and I have nowhere to answer, because you're right. This constituency is larger. But that said, I still stand by everything I just said before, because knowing what I know, fairness is fairness. But let's call it, thank you. Let's call on Brittany, and let's call on Mary Ann, and then I'll go back to the committee. So Brittany first, then Mary Ann.
Mine will be very brief. I just want to say that I support what you said, support what Kelly says. Generally speaking, people should be put above corporations. People should get as good or better of a deal than corporations get. And people shouldn't find out by sifting through random documents, hundreds of pages, find out that corporations got a better deal than them. Every single residential land lease is up on the BPCA website. It's really hard to find out the deals, and we're still trying to find out the deals that each corporation got because it's buried. And the reason why Brookfield got it is in a real estate report. It's documented that they have a team of lawyers on staff that every time the BPCA comes to them and tries to raise it, they have a team of lawyers and they end up negotiating and getting a better deal. And residents don't have those same means to do that. And so again, people over corporations. That's it. Thanks, Justine.
Thanks, Brittany. Mary Ann and then Brian Robinson.
Thank you. So this part of the bill talks about what kind of people would be eligible. Did I also hear that if somebody was forgiven or did not have to pay a portion of what would have been their ground rent because of these income issues, that they would owe it back when they sell the unit?
I believe that was in the bill that we're looking at. I don't know if it's in nine.
I don't think it is. I don't think.
Okay. In the new one, it's not in there. I don't know. It was in the first one that I read.
Okay,
I don't
because
know
I
if it's-
think that's terrible.
I agree.
My opinion.
Yeah.
My other question is, it has to, it talks about people who earn more than, I guess, 150% of the median income. If it were now, does anyone know what the median income is now that would be applicable? Just so we have a sense of what we're talking about.
Give me a minute. It's going to be higher than.
I can answer that.
Yeah,
so
go ahead. Thank you, Emily. But break it
it's
out per
adjusted based-
household.
Yeah, so it's adjusted based on household size, but for a family of four, I believe that'd be around just under, I think, $200,000 or just around.
All right, thank you, honey. Minute.
And how about for one person?
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. So 100, they don't give you 150. 130 for one person in 2022 dollars. 130% of AMI is 121,420. For a family of two is 138,840. For a family of three is 156,130. And a family of four is 173,420. Now that's at 130. Emily was giving you figures for 150, which is what I think Brian's bill says, right? So it's in between.
Percent.
AMI doesn't break it out. AMI goes from 130 to 165 in terms of the math.
Okay, I do not understand. Will you say the numbers you were, Emily, you said under 200,000 for a family of four.
That is correct.
Is that 150% of the median income, or is that the median income?
No, that's the 150% of the median
Okay,
income.
so
The numbers I gave you was
someone
the
tell me what the median income is for one person in a unit.
100% is one person is 93,400.
Okay.
Sorry, looking at the so you know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a chart.
And then when they talk about,
No, that's not right.
It says it here, 100% of AMI for one person, 2022.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I was looking at the 130. You're right.
Yeah,
So-
that's
so
okay. Yes, that's what she's asking for. Right.
Multiply that by 1.5.
still,
and that
don't
would
go
be-
too far. Thanks for moving the verbiage so I can see it. And then when it talks about the area median income, what area is utilized?
This is the area median income for all cities across the country. No, sorry, I'm looking here. Wait, sorry. The
Area
2022
median income is
AMI
calculated by HUD for each
Thank you.
region of US. So this includes the 5 counties in New York City, plus Westchester, and Long Island counties, and maybe Dutchess County. I'm not sure, but it's essentially the counties surrounding New York City, and that's the median income with all those counties put together.
Okay,
It's
so
also
that's a very broad
The chart
area.
that I'm looking at right now says the 2022 AMI for New York City region, which might be larger than New York City, is what Lucian just said. Okay, so for one person it's 93,400. For two people it's 106,800. 3 people, blah 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 blah.
For New York City,
So
but
that's
again, we don't
100%.
we
That's
don't know
100%.
if it's using all,
It's not taking upstate, but it is taking New York City. Metro area.
well, I, don't- it may say that's what it is in New York City, but it may also mean that they used broader information.
Yeah, it's a HUD, it's a federal government
HUD, okay.
set number that the
So HUD
city
sets it, all right,
is kind of forced to use, and the
okay,
state uses it. We all use that as
okay,
the way to determine affordability.
okay.
It's the apples to apple comparison
Yeah.
that the Fed sets.
I guess I wanted to know that because when we think of affordability, clearly Manhattan is less affordable than the other parts of the state that are nearby and the other parts even of the cities in some cases.
Yeah, and
So I
Marianne,
just,
you're correct.
yeah,
It's
okay.
very much criticized because
Yeah.
some of the more affluent counties surrounding New York City bring the median income number up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you were to remove some of our surrounding counties, that would push the median income down, and thus AMI would be even lower. But
Right, right.
such is the state of things.
Okay, and that's all for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Marianne. I see Pamit, and then I'm going to go to, I did, Robin, was your hand raised? I saw it, but it went down. And I see Bob, but I think your hand is still up. But I'm going to go to Pamit first, and Bob, decide if you want to talk or not. Put your hand up or down. Ah, it's gone. Okay. So Pamit, you're up.
Everyone, thanks. Sorry, I just joined in a little late. I heard Brittany's words. I would strongly emphasize every single thing that she said. I'd also want to make sure the community continues to question the fundamental principle of what Brittany raised. Why do every one of these bills put corporations at a lower rate than people? Number one. And what this bill does is supports corporate welfare over individuals. It's just that simple. And that CBRE report, which is buried in the web, will show, has shown, that corporations pay lower rent. Brookfield pays $20 million for 5 million square feet. They pay $4 a foot of ground rent with 0 increases through 2049. 16 of the 18 other buildings pay more than Brookfield, and that will continue to go up. I don't understand why everybody should not get a better deal than Brookfield. Goldman Sachs paid $161 million in 2010 through 2069. They have 1.8 million square feet. They pay $1.32 a square foot. That is lower than everybody. I don't understand why anybody is having a conversation about this bill at all without having to discuss why Brookfield and Goldman get a better deal on ground rent. That is my point. We should not even discuss any of these components. The community has spoken multiple times. I don't know why we're readdressing this again. It's like we're not heard. And these surprises that come out of left field when we're actively in conversations continues to just baffle me. And that's my opinion. I'll let the community decide, but the numbers are the numbers. You can't run from that. You can't spin that. The numbers are the numbers. And perhaps, Justine, in the next meeting, we should put these numbers and have people see them. And just take 18 buildings, take 12 rental buildings, take lot 1, lot 2, all these technical terms that BPCA has for Brookfield, Goldman, everybody, and just put the column and have a conversation as a community. And we should make a resolution as to whether we believe companies should get better deals than individuals. Thank you so much.
I mean, thank you. Well said. And thank you for doing the math to figure out what Brookfield's per square foot ground rent is frozen at and what Goldman Sachs's ground rent is frozen at. That is really useful information. I have suggested the very same thing about sharing the ground rent per square foot per building. That requires each building to be okay with it, and so far they are not okay with it. I don't know what the big deal is, but people who are smarter than I or different kind of lawyers than I am have issues with sharing that information. But yeah, I think you're 100% right, because when you see the numbers, what's startling is when you see the numbers all splayed out together, and yeah, the disparity is great. And clearly Brookfield has more space than a 700 or 800 or 900 or 1,000 square foot apartment. That's not the point. The apples to apples comparison is square foot price. And yeah, well said, Pammy. And you're 100% right. There is no reason why corporations get better treatment than residents. And in terms of the political will, or the political way it looks, the optics of it all politically, how can you look around and say that you're giving a benefit or a great windfall to individuals when you already have given the great windfall to the corporations? That's the frustration that you're getting and hearing from people, because we're struggling. The majority of the people are struggling. Not everybody here is Leonardo DiCaprio. And that's it. But okay, I see that Tammy raised her hand, and Marianne. I'm gonna go to Tammy first, Marianne, and then go to you. Tammy, you took your hand down?
No, I'm
Oh,
here.
okay, good. Sorry.
You know, one of my curious questions when we do comparisons, obviously, Brookfield, the current owners of Brookfield are not the same owners that created Battery Park City, right? They are not Olympia in New York. So it does seem reasonable that an escalation, you know, you flip an apartment, you pay more the next buyer usually in the current market. And Brookfield has enjoyed some luxury things that the old originator did not. 2 lobbies were completely allowed to be renovated and put into additional retail space. There's been a lot of gain that comes with that. Yes, I understand most likely the authority will have more from a percentage of rent on that, you know, for whatever they get. But it was unclear because it happens without, you know, in closed session, whether or not then they also paid an escalation in their ground rent for being able to have more tenants there. And how that worked for Brookfield, none of us know because it's done behind the closed door. But I do think that looking and saying equal treatment or better footing is a fair and reasonable discussion to be had. Without a doubt, I don't see that there's always a disparity and difference in the opportunities between and the discussions between residential and commercial in the neighborhood. So since we operate in somewhat of a vacuum, I look forward to seeing some more detailed information that can be either foiled or garnered so we can have a more robust dialogue. And with that, I'm going to say thank you and good night.
Thanks, Tammy. Appreciate your input. Marianne, you want to say something? And then maybe we wrap this up, because this is a discussion. We're not going to resolution at this point because there's nothing to resolve. As Jeff did say, the community board has spoken on this issue. But although, Nick, if you have something you want to say, you certainly are welcome to. But first, Marianne, if that's all right.
Oh, sorry, Marianne.
Yeah, Marianne's muted.
Good to go, Marianne.
Okay, thank you. I'm just wondering, do the corporations here that Pamit mentioned, do they pay something like the pilot that we pay? And I wonder how comparable that amount is, because more than half of my monthly maintenance goes to pilot.
Correct.
And then there's the other, quote, taxes paid to the authority. So we pay a lot to public entities to have the privilege of living in this neighborhood. And I'm just again, wanting to compare that with what the corporations are hit with.
I don't
So
know the answer to
maybe-
that. Nick
yeah.
may have it to be able to at least say, I'm sure he's not going to give us numbers even if he knew them, but I would have to assume they pay real estate taxes too,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Okay,
But yeah, I don't know the answer to your question, but Pamit, maybe that's homework for you. Nick, you're up.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, can you hear me? I'm sorry, Justine.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry to hit you with all this on your first
No,
meeting
it's
back.
okay. I'm just meeting. I'm sorry, I stepped outside for a second. I'm just meeting my wife and daughter here at the bus stop. But I have a chart momentarily that I can put in the chat for you. That's from one of our public presentations that has the breakdown of the ground rent, the pilot, and all the other stuff, that is paid through the authority. It's actually one of those famous Justine charts. So give me a few minutes to get back upstairs, and I will put that in the chat for Lucian to share. Can you hear me, Justine?
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. I heard you fine.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. No, deal with take your wife and daughter. We can give you a
I'm literally just got them at the bus stop in the rain. I'll be back. I'll be upstairs in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Just in the meantime, Pamit's raised his hand.
Pamit, go ahead, speak.
Yes, all those corporations do pay pilot, and it will be very interesting to do that comparison that she described. I think an interesting comparison would be looking at the 12 rental buildings that are corporate owned, see what they pay in pilot. I think you look at the 18 residential buildings, condo owned, see what they pay in pilot. I think you should see what Gateway pays in pilot when you look at those 12. And then you look at what the corporations do. And then I think you compare that to condo and corporate rentals in Tribeca and FIDI, because I would imagine as landowners, they would pay more in property tax than we would, since we don't own our land in pilot. So I think if we did that study, that would be interesting, because logically, somebody who doesn't own land should not pay more in pilot than somebody who does own land. So I think the association can look into that, but we would need some support from Nick without having to go through a lengthy FOIL process. Nick, happy to work with you on that.
Give him a chance to get back to his desk. He's on mute. But Pamit, that's great.
Right?
No, that's a really great idea, and you bring up a really good point, because we haven't dealt with pilot as a discussion yet, but
yeah, I think it's all packaged together, right? Just
it is,
and I mean,
it is, because the pilots that each condo building, I can speak to that because that I know, each condo building their pilot is assessed on the fair market rental income that as if we were a rental building, and they look at the fair market rental income. I'm going to assume they're looking at Gateway. I'm assuming they're looking at close by rental buildings. So,
right.
So it will be very fascinating to see that if we pay more or less.
Right. And
then
again, as we're all concerned about affordability, you would want to see that the data shows ground rent plus pilot plus civic fee for rental buildings and condo buildings should be less than any corporation. I think that's a general principle of affordability. So I don't see how anybody could take a position that they support affordability by raising rents, ground rent or anything on rental buildings or condos versus corporations. You can't make that argument and still keep a straight face.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
Right.
Let's do the math. And Nick,
Sure.
yes, I would ask you for it, but you're there. You're back at your desk, yeah?
Yeah, it would be great to work with Nick and the authority. Otherwise, our FOIL process generally take 180 days to get our data. And I think if the authority is willing and supportive, that they can provide this data rather quickly, because I'm sure they have it.
And you're looking for it broken out per building, correct? As much as possible.
It's all publicly available data, at least
It is,
pilot,
yeah.
because that's the New York City Department of Finance.
Yep.
And they do have to disclose assessed values and things like that. So And the authority would have the rent rolls because they're collecting that money anyways.
It
So
makes sense. Yeah.
they-
I mean, because the slides are based on something and it's based on the information you're asking for.
correct. And when they report out their annual numbers, they do capture ground rent and pilot as individual line items in their income statements. So they do have to have the detail. So I think if they're continue to be supportive of the community, that they can provide that and we can work on that with them together.
That makes sense. Thank you, Pamit.
I hope Nick heard all of that.
I hope so too. I think he's listening. I
Okay.
just don't think he's
Yeah, that's fine.
in a place where he could answer. But Nick, if you're in a place where you can answer.
This is also being recorded and transcribed, so we'll make sure that Nick gets the full play-by-play if you didn't hear it.
Right. No, I want him to have the opportunity to respond. But it sounds like he's not there or not able because he's still on mute.
Hold on a second. Hey, Justine, sorry.
Okay,
Step
good.
back.
No, that's
Hi,
okay.
hello.
That's fine.
So yeah, that's to the extent that information there's no need to that's probably available otherwise. People send you, but we have a ton of information on our site, and to the extent that it's publicly available. So happy to get folks the information they need, oftentimes by pointing them to where it already exists.
That would be helpful and helping us narrow down where to find it. Because Pamit's a lot smarter with
yes,
math.
I mean, the caveat I would say is, so the example you gave before, Justine, was, there were sometimes, like, this is not exactly what the specific request, but some, and I think obviously be respectful of that work through the arrangements in place. But to the extent that it is otherwise publicly available, we try to make all sorts of information available on our site.
No, that's fair. That's reasonable. I know you do have to spend time redacting some stuff that's private, so that's a reason why something takes time. But you're also breaking up, so I couldn't hear everything that you said. But
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay. But I think if you're good, I'd like to shut this down. None of the stuff that was said tonight, I think, is news to you. If you've heard a lot of it before, I think that it's just maybe in a different form or louder with more people from both sides. So I really appreciate Jeff sharing his perspective, and Pamit and everybody else. I am so sorry, but it's 8:10, and I'd like to turn to our last item on the agenda, if that's all right. I think that you're finished, but you certainly have a chance to talk again on resiliency, because that's what we're going to go to next. And I believe that Brittany has the slides. You might want to put her in as, I don't know if you want to put her, can she do the slides herself, or are you going to just talk with her to do it?
I can advance the slides, but for the do you want to start with the slides first, or do you want to start with the letter?
Oh, let's do the letter. Yes, we have the letter that we put forth, and we have our request. Yeah, let's show that. Thank you.
Yep. Have it. Let me get pulled up here. That's the other presentation. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's Brittany's slides.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
So yeah, it's okay. I'm going to just talk and say, as folks know, or maybe they don't know, after our last set of meetings, Manhattan Community Ward 1 and Tammy put forth a letter to the Battery Park City Authority to follow up with pending requests. And I know Nick had said he was looking to either he had answered or he was going to answer, and we broke up on that one too. But this is our letter. This is the bulk of it right here. So we originally requested at CB1's April 2022 Environmental Protection Committee meeting, a plan showing the pedestrian, bike, and car traffic flow to better understand exactly what will and will not be available to the public for the next 2 years. This is all in relation to Wagner South Resiliency Project, the Battery Park City South Resiliency Project. Acknowledgement from the New York Department of Transportation, BPCA, Downtown Alliance, and New York City Transit that there is a plan to relocate bus stops to accommodate construction, mobilization, and staging as well. A confirmation that this plan will incorporate CB1's request as possible and community review as part of the plans. Robust communication for a robust communication plan for engaging with all local residents, daycare centers, schools, blah, 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 about open space alternatives for their kids, a fly-through illustrating the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project. CB1 requests a revised plan with architectural drawings that we can see and share publicly that show the inclusion of the bike lane, that show how bike users may be effectively diverted from the battery bike path to the Hudson River Greenway.
I wanted to say happy birthday, good night.
Oh, Robin, mute. This is already an issue that will
Oh, it's
only
your
be exacerbated
day.
by construction in Wagner and has not been included in the new designs. CB1 requests more information and clarification
Oh, good.
on the storage staging plan
was the
during
next day,
construction,
yeah, great.
including confirmation it will be out of view and will
Passes
not
the muster
obstruct.
in preparation.
Lucian, can you, yeah, thank you. And will not obstruct pedestrian cyclist flow. CB1 requests more information and clarification on whether an elevator would be possible for public to access the pavilion structure. CB1, okay, we've asked for the extension. They gave us a 10-day extension, so I'm not gonna waste time going over that one. Thank you for that, Nick, and thank you, BPCA, for the 10-day extension, or 7-day extension to June 10th, I think it is. In light of the recent concerns, based on the DEIS, Community Board 1 requests more information and clarity on the soil sampling in Wagner Park and throughout the construction area that specifies any potentially hazardous materials within the soil that may be disturbed during construction and what mitigation measures are put in place to safely remediate and minimize communities' impacts. And CB1 requests additional confirmation that there is no need to conduct lead or asbestos abatement with regards to the demolition of the Wagner Pavilion. So sorry I read that, but there are people who can't see what was going on. That is a letter that was sent to the Battery Park City Authority. Nick, besides the extension till June 10th, is there anything else you want to add as things that you're addressing, or is that going to be at a future meeting?
Hey, Justine. Yes, I can address a couple of items here. Can you hear me? I'm sorry I keep breaking up.
Yes.
Be very
That's
annoying.
okay.
Apologies. So yes, and thank you for the letter. We thought it was really good in terms of kind of getting together some of the concerns that the community board had outstanding. Some of which we have gotten you, some of which we still owe you, obviously. So yeah, we received, I think I took this on when I first jumped on at the start of the meeting. So at the letter on Friday morning, you should have a follow-up to the letter, as I told Lucian and Tammy this week. And we'll be going down each of the points that are raised and giving kind of comprehensive responses to each of the issues. The extension, as you had noted, is now to June 10th. So that's another week for the environmental review comments on that process. The fly-throughs, so like for instance, the fly-throughs are on our website. They were in a newsletter that went out last week, but fly-throughs for each of the project sections are there. We'll reiterate that in the letter as well. But yes, each of the points will be addressed, and then as Tammy had asked and I had answered before, the responses to the letter itself will then also be in the final document.
That's perfect. And yes, I think actually the broadsheet addressed some of the fly-throughs, or at least had links to stuff.
Yes.
One
Yeah.
of the past days or so. So I did see it there too.
I'm on the extension now too, so maybe they'll run notice as well. But we obviously extended it another week. So yes, that was a good write-up in the broadsheet that they had put that in there.
That's okay. You don't have to praise him. I just was making a note that it's another place to find them.
Between us, Justine, don't tell them. Don't tell them I'm saying nice things about them.
I won't. I'm kidding. All right. So I know that Brittany has a presentation, and I might just want to jump to that and then have us respond to her points, because I think part of her, as she's going to talk about it, she's going to talk about what the Battery Park City Neighborhood Association's position is, and I'm going to, in regards to the South Wagner Park resiliency, and just kind of their thoughts and ideas.
Thanks, Justine. I'm actually going to spend some time is more of an awareness and education as part of this presentation. And then afterwards, the community can answer it. In terms of housekeeping, I've had a little bit of connection issues. I think Nick has as well. So if I do get cut off, can you unmute Kelly and he'll just take on over so it's not disrupted. the presentation. And
Thank
then,
you. And let's, yeah, thank you so much. And then Lucian will change the slides as you go.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'll just give you cues. And I want to thank you for letting me come and do this. I really appreciate it. And Nick as well, I appreciate you being here. Do want to echo, I appreciate your service. You've been out, you've been missed being here. So appreciate that you're here. All right, so we put this together as, you know, in an effort to increase awareness and inform people about what's happening, what's planned to happen in Wagner. As we've gone through the neighborhood and talked to people, realize that there's very little awareness about what is planned there and what is going to happen there. And so this is going to try to enhance that and increase that. So Lucian, if you'll flip to the next slide with the objectives. So I covered the first one, educate the community about the South Battery Park Resiliency Project. Number 2 is advocate for an integrated approach to resiliency across Lower Manhattan in a way that maximizes protection to the most vulnerable areas. And we'll talk about that later on in this presentation. Advocate for resiliency projects that incorporate a series of guiding principles that enables to meet community needs and increase active green spaces. So again, that thread that I said, people over corporations, people over money, people over revenue, that will be a theme here. 4th, elicit questions from the community about the Wagner Park project. And 5, ensure that people know how to get in touch. We have an email that people can reach out to, and we're hosting an event this Sunday from 2 to 4 in Rockefeller Park. We'll be there. There'll be information about Wagner, and there'll be elected officials there as well. So we encourage everyone that is on here to come by to that event. Flip to the next slide, please. All right, the next few slides are just to set the stage for what Lower Manhattan looked like under Sandy. So this is a New York Times map of flooding across New York and other parts under Sandy in 2012. We all accept that, you know, climate change is real, sea levels will rise, there are going to be more and more large storms, more Hurricane Sandys that we've seen in the past. Partnership across organizations, governments, local, federal, state, different stakeholders, experts is required. You can see the box on, and I actually didn't create the box of, around Lower Manhattan, and that's the area that we're going to focus on. But you can see in this map that this is a broad problem, right? Not just a Lower Manhattan problem. Flipping to the next, we'll then zoom in on Lower Manhattan. You'll see Battery Park. We call 2 pinch points. I think CB1 actually coined that term back in 2016, 2017. And you'll see them circled here in the north and the south. Those are the areas that are needed to be addressed in order to protect Tribeca and Fidei from future flooding and storm surge.
Justine, can I raise a procedural question here?
Go ahead.
I see this presentation is 35 pages. It looks like it addresses something that's outside our committee's jurisdiction, which is the need for resiliency and the.
I think that we just need to have her
It's
push.
just an inform. It's so that the community knows what's happening.
Yeah, but shouldn't this be presented to the environmental?
It will be. It will be.
So just go through it faster.
Yeah, can we maybe limit to maybe 15 minutes or so the presentation? I mean,
Yeah, it will
that
be,
would be
Jeff.
fair.
It will be.
This.
Thank you. No, I agree with that, Jeff, because yeah, it's getting late and agreed. But yeah, these are things we
told me 15 minutes.
Yep,
So,
I did.
Yep.
You go ahead. Go ahead, Brittany. I did
So
I did say
what's
she could.
important to note, yep, 15 minutes. Important to note is that Battery Park was built on high ground. Bloomberg, and you can read many articles in 2013 where he talks about it. He talks about creating a battery park over on the east side because it withstood flooding during Sandy. So keep going. Here you can see the pinch points again. And on the left, the bottom left, you can see what Wagner looked like, in particular under Hurricane Sandy. This is what the flooding looked like under Hurricane Sandy and Wagner. And keep going. This was shown in a 2016 BPCA presentation on the resiliency program. The bottom picture down there is part of a big U proposal that was proposed by a design firm that took all of Lower Manhattan and had an integrated project. And a lot of people have seen in the news what's happening in East River, that was scrapped by the government in a backdoor deal. The top part, you can see, this is again the BPCA presentation showing the flooding and the pinch points, if you will, the area that's most vulnerable. Keep going. So let's talk about the Wagner Park resiliency design principles. And again, this is just material that I picked from the BPCA's previous presentations. This was published March 2017. One of the main design principles of this project, which goes to the life of and experience of Battery Park city residents, was to provide better opportunity for food and beverage. So that was one of the main key design principles of this project. You keep going. Let's talk about why that became, how that became one of the design principles. There was a survey done. 414 people responded. Again, this is a BPCA. This was a survey published in 2016 by BPCA. 414 respondents, 268 were residents, 146 non-residents. So about 35%, give or take, non-residents responded to this survey. Keep going. 31 people, no one knows whether they were residents, non-residents, responded that they want more food and beverage options. So 31 people out of 16,000 residents responded, or who knows if they were residents or not, walking by. 31 people. Keep going. Since 2017, CB1 has done did a stellar job on some of their resolutions. I have one in the appendix that you can go look at from September 26, 2017, which talks about the scope, the goals of this project, concerns, etc. In addition, there's articles published on the BPCA website, if you keep going, Lucian, talking about the project, reactions to the project, why that there's some opposition. And you can read the opposition in this article that's published on the website again. That the opposition is based on the BPCA using resiliency mandate to increase its rental revenues. In short, is acting out of greed. I don't see anything wrong with turning the restaurant into a more profitable operation, nor does the present cafe owner. This is published on the BPCA website. Keep going. Keep going. So this was published in March 2017 of, okay, we have this design principle that we need to increase our food and beverage. We need to get more commercial space, which is essentially what they're doing. And let's increase this building and take it up by 4 to 5 times the size of the current building and commercial space. Footprint stays the same, but the actual amount of commercial space will increase. Why? Number one, it's not resilient. It's not achieving the food and beverage potential. My favorite, though, is the toilets need to be replaced. That is by far my favorite reason. And you can see here, by line item of the existing building versus the potential area. And a big part is the food and beverage going from the 3,450 square foot up to 6,000 to 10,000 square foot. I'm not sure where that landed, but a later presentation looked like it's something close to that as well, with the rooftop, between the rooftop and the ground floor of the restaurant. You can keep going. Keep going. So what do we want? This is the part where is more opinion and the neighborhood association. All resiliency projects should follow a set of design principles. We need integration. We need integration across jurisdictions and neighbors because water flows. We need to prioritize the most at-risk areas first and provide an immediate solution for the pinch points. Those north and south, those have to be solved and they need to be solved immediately. So do other places in Finite and Seaport, right? And that's within the CB1 jurisdiction, right? Those places are pinch points and they're vulnerable. We should use these resiliency projects to increase active green spaces and trees. We need to preserve old trees, add new trees and green, prioritize grass and green over concrete. And we need to co-create with the community and prioritize the community needs in all designs and design principles. Keep going. The next ones you can fly through. These are from some of those fly through images presented on May 19th, 2022 of what the designs look like. Keep going. Go on. Wait, can you go back to that one? Go back to, sorry. One more. This one's interesting because you can see this pinch point right here where it shows the flood wall and the flip gate. That's kind of the area where we're talking about between Pier A and Wagner Part as the pinch point. So that this one is a key one, a key slide. All right, keep going. You're like the master slide mover. Here's the new building. New building. View from the buildings. And then here, stop, if you could stop there. No, stop there, in the last one, please. The last slide, yep. So I'm gonna open it up for comment, for people to make the comment, but a call out for, again, our Sunday event where we will be handing out more information on Wagner and encourage people to, number one, join us on Twitter, but even more so is to send the BPCA an email and copy us with your feedback on this, of what you've seen today. Your feedback on what our proposed design principles are, as well as what you see on the designs. We want to make sure that everyone is informed.
Thanks so much, Brittany.
Thanks, Justine.
No, thank you very much. And also remember that with the extension to June 10th, part of it is you can also be responding to the environmental impact study. So that would be important to encompass both. So, and I think you had the links there. But before I call on Jeff again, because I think his hand is raised to make a comment, and I would encourage the board to comment. I just have a couple of things to say. First of all, thank you for doing that. You know, some of them were slides that were blasts from the past. I can remember the outrage. Nick, were you there? And were you working in your current role in 2017? Or were we yelling at Robin or somebody else? Because I remember when the slide came up, and I can remember Tammy being the chair of the Battery Park City Committee, having a total meltdown.
It was Nick and Shari.
Nick and Shari, there you go.
Yep.
All right, Nick and Shari.
Yes, April 2016.
That's it. I just couldn't remember, Robin, but I remember the, you know, whatever, the one about the restaurants, and it was just like, oh my God. So anyhow, my comments are really simple. I think that what Brittany's point is here is that something that the this committee, I think, and the environmental committee and all of CB1 has said all along, we are so supportive of the efforts of the Battery Park City Authority taking the lead on resiliency. Yes, we've talked about pinch points, and you've had a different idea of where you want to start and do things than we thought was most important, but you have taken and are far beyond where anybody else is in the city or the state. And I commend you for that, because no matter what the end of the day is, you guys are still ahead of everybody else. I mean, that said, I feel like I want to say that what I've always wanted all along is a radically simplified design for Wagner Park. Okay. Couple of things to point out, and I know we talked about it before, but I want to put it on the record because these people are hearing it. We have talked about this and suggested that instead of doing a new building and ripping up the park and doing such huge construction, make some sort of a berm, make it look like Teardrop Park. There's been some suggestions from the community saying that, and using the beautiful designs in Teardrop Park. And you say you need extra space for your storage equipment and the stuff that's now being held, outside behind black fences. You have storage space inside Teardrop Park underneath the structure. I am more than certain that you all could come up with a plan that would be attractive, be built faster and done faster than what is currently planned, the 2 years, that'll probably be 3, not through any fault of your own, but just because construction takes longer, of closing the park. And you could come up with something that has the storage space for your parks equipment, has restrooms, because we need that, and you want to make sure that there's access to the waterfront and bathrooms, and that is all ADA accessible. So there will be sidewalks, concrete. Maybe there's even going to be hills somehow built into that where there's sidewalks, because it needs to be ADA accessible for all parties so that everybody can get across and get to the access to it. And in terms of the restaurant space, Pier A is empty. You haven't collected rent. You, being the Battery Park City Authority, haven't collected rent in that in such a long time. Wouldn't it be so great to move Gigino's from its current location into Pier A and use that space? Because of all the restaurants that have been down in Wagner Park area, Gigino's has been the best and the most successful. Give them a shot at Pier A. It's larger, it's bigger. You could charge them the rent that they need, and they can actually stay open, or perhaps be opened before spring if you have to close stuff down now. One thing that I want to be clear is that I am not talking about a pause that's going to add years to this plan. I think that this authority is creative and nimble and thorough. And I think that once they get an idea in their head that they can do something different, they will. I don't know if the will is there, but I know you have the power. I personally have confidence that you could do something differently. And I know that this is an issue. We're not doing a resolution here. This is going to be an issue where this is being resolved in the environmental committee, because we're having Alice and her team talk, because they're going to be talking to the architects, and this is not a place for that. But things that I would like to tell you to think about are the benefits of this plan and doing it differently is reduced costs, shorter construction time, more and better green space in parks, and prioritizing Pier A space so that it's open sooner and more useful, and actually bringing in revenue, because the Battery Park City needs revenue, right? Here we are pushing you in the earlier conversation to freeze ground rents and curtail what you're taking in. I have no problem with you charging corporations and restaurants rent and actually getting money for that, because it's good to do. And it's useful, and you do need the money because you are doing things. And once again, I do not want the Battery Park City Authority to go away. I like having you guys as our intermediary and our governing force. And I really do believe that we can work something out both on the ground rent and on resiliency that's going to be listening to the community and making them happy. And I will say that a lot of what Brittany showed going back to 2017 are certainly things that were concerns to us back then. You've addressed some of the concerns, and I cannot stand by and say that the authority was not working with us and comprehensively engaging with us step by step by step. They were engaging with Community Board 1. They were engaging and offering themselves up to the community who were here or listening or whatever, who were here in the time. A lot of people have come and moved into this community since then. And so I appreciate Brittany's slideshow presentation, because she was giving history that a lot of people in the Battery Park City Neighborhood Association did not know. There are people in that neighborhood association who've only been here 3 to 5 years. And they don't know. They don't know what it's like to live through Sandy. They don't know what it's like to have been evacuated 2 times for hurricanes. you all have stepped up and are doing more. So I don't ever want to lose that. And I have to give you credit for that. But at the end of the day, I'm asking you guys to do a radically simpler plan for Wagner Park design. And that's my ask. That said, I see that Betty Kay has her hand up, and I see that Brian Robinson and Kelly have their hands up, and Bob Schneck. Thank you. So Betty first, then Bob.
Yes, no, I feel like I'm listening to a lot of people with extreme amnesia because I recall very well living through all of these debates. And these things have been addressed and there has been give and take, which you give them credit for. I don't even know where to begin. I'm certainly not asking, the horse has left the barn as far as Wagner Park has gone. So I am in no way asking that anything be halted. I think that's unrealistic. We've been saying this for 6 or 7 years already. The changes are needed. In terms of some of the misrepresentations in the presentation, and Brittany, I appreciate the work and that you're interested in learning at this point, but a lot of things from 2017, one, aren't relevant at this point because they've changed. And two, some of it was just plain misrepresentations. For instance, the study that was done, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but wasn't that the one that was done by BMCC, where they did the surveying of people?
BMCC was the parks user study. It was
correct. Wasn't that what Brittany was referring to with the numbers?
Nope, that's not what I was referring to. The
No,
park
no,
user
that
study
was
was in 2018. The
that was
park
parks
user study was
study.
the one that came in with a million unique visitors. This was the resiliency study.
Perkins Eastman did the resiliency study. Eddie, sorry, it was Perkins Eastman did the resiliency study. If you can hear me.
Oh, yes, I can. Thanks. Yeah, no, believe me, I've taken part in everything I can, and I know that some of the ones that were done, it was a sampling issue that the numbers looked small. I also think that as much as Battery Park residents like to think they're incredibly important, the premise of our whole community is that we are commercial as well as residential, and we are an open part of the city. So of course, they're going to take interests from people who are visitors to the area as well as those who live here. I appreciate the concern because as a condo owner, yes, I also pay the ground rents and I also pay the civic fees and I also pay the ground rents, and that I understand the costs. But starting from scratch on a project that's all decided and everything's getting finalized on is not a way to save money. It's a way to push off and have risk. Focusing on the north and west, I can see doing that. And I don't want to relitigate the ballparks because just as Wagner Park, it's pretty much done. Except there, we don't not worrying about the pain of living through it because I've already been through that. Wagner Park, I understand the anticipated losses, but that's what they are. Anybody who's lived through construction can sympathize with that. It's going to be painful, but it's nothing we haven't expected. We've dreaded, but we've expected it. So I am not asking, and I wish people would get off Wagner Park a little bit with the design and major elements, because I, for one, am not asking them to start from scratch and rehire a whole groups of people to do renewed designs, to come up to the same conclusions, because I remember the discussions before led to people didn't like some of the things they had to choose, but the options were hard. When they had the options that were out there, these were the ones they picked. So thanks.
Thank you for sharing. And yes, you're right about history, because a lot of us on this committee sat through all of this stuff. I think, and I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and it's frustrating. On all sides, it's frustrating. Because at the end of the day, I guess only thing I would tell you is that I don't like the design. But you're right. We were given choices, and this was what the lesser of evils. And how about that was what we ended up with, and that's what this design is. But yeah. All right, Bob Schneck, and then Jeff Galloway, and then of course Brian Robinson and Kelly. But anybody on the board goes first. So Bob, and then Jeff.
I would simply like to say that I can't help but applaud the excellence of the work that Battery Park City Authority did, and really, if I lived in the world where I had no concerns about money, and I thought no one in the world had any concerns about money, I would absolutely applaud it. And I think it's really great. I always felt like so often Battery Park City Authority spends way over the top. And over the many years that these things have been discussed with the community, there's never always the result is Battery Park City ends up spending the money, and thank God it's at least doing something excellent. So at the end of lots of resolutions and at the end of lots and lots of meetings, I wish we could have made a difference, but we really, but we're surprisingly, and this and many other issues, being a community board member, being in the fight for the community, trying to save money here and there doesn't really matter so much. That being said, I want to thank the Battery Park City community, the Battery Park City Authority for doing an excellent job, and that, you know, given that they have the power to do things at the highest level, they're really doing it. And I just wish some of our opinions from the beginning, whether or not we needed a replacement for the wonderful architecture in Wagner Park, whether or not we needed the style and expensive kinds of provisions of resiliency that we have. I really don't think so, but we do, and I'm thankful for that, because at least A, they really have an excellent plan, and B, they're going to pull it off. So thanks to the Battery Park City Authority, and thanks for really looking after our community, even if differently than we could imagine. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob, for sharing. Appreciate it. Jeff?
I just wanted to point out, as I've done many times, that the design criteria that this is all driven by are the projections on sea level rise and increased storm surge. And those projections, and this isn't something that somebody in the bowels of Battery Park City Authority did. This is based on the International Panel for Climate Change and New York City's adoption and expansion of that, project sufficiently high sea level rise and storm surge that the elevation needs to be raised by about 10 feet along our shore. And there's lots of bad ways to do that. If we were really concerned mainly with wasting money, the cheapest thing is to just build a wall out there and block all of our view behind a 10-foot wall. Actually, that's not necessarily even cheap to do that. That's quite an expensive endeavor. Fundamentally, what's been designed or proposed and soon to be implemented by the authority is to take that wall a little bit inland, to bury it, and basically raise the park beyond it by that 10 feet and build a new pavilion that is above the floodplain. True, the community board initially suggested don't do that, raise Battery Place instead, and have that be the barrier. I mean, there's any number of obvious flaws to that, which the authority pointed out in some of the subsequent meetings. One of which is that Wagner Park would flood every time we had a storm, including the wonderful pavilion that we liked. But they also pointed out that it would really lead to secondary flooding along all sorts of places, simply wouldn't solve the engineering problem. I think, you know, I'm prepared to listen if somebody wants to tell me that the climate change projections are wrong, and they may very well be wrong. But unless we are going to chip at those fundamental assumptions, the options for protecting our shore are very limited. And I think this particular design, although we certainly have had some aesthetic points, almost all of which the authority responded to, but sometimes in a way that we did not agree with, but those are fundamentally aesthetic points. But the engineering solution is innovative and appears to be, if you believe the China climate change projections, appears to be effective. I urge everybody to go to these workshops on the north and west plans because the flexibility for the authority to do something palatable in the north is far less than the flexibility they have in the south. But we still need that roughly 10-foot elevation change. I participated in the workshops that we had last year on that, and there were some innovative suggestions for parts of this, but all of them have potentially negative consequences to our quality of life. And so it's really going to be a matter of mitigating those negative consequences and trying to minimize them. But if you believe the projections, the solutions have to be radical. And I, for one, am thankful that the authority is taking this on. I just wish the city were as diligent, because right now, where the authority ends its project in the north, the city has yet to even begin thinking about where to continue it. And absent that continuation, portions of Tribeca will flood, notwithstanding these measures that the authority is taking. So anyway, I certainly don't favor starting this 5-year process all over again. And I doubt that we'll come to any better solution unless the climate change projections change in the meantime. Unfortunately, they seem to be going the other direction. But to me, that's what's driving all of this. It's the climate change projections.
Just really quick, Justine, I just want to address Betty K's,
Sure,
because
go
in the
ahead.
last meeting, Gwen also told me that the survey that I used was not the right survey. And so the slides do source it, Betty. So if you want to go back, you'll see right from where every single slide is sourced from the BPCA website, the images, or sourced from a public website, and you can see the exact survey and where it comes from and which presentation. So it's all on the bottom, and I'll make sure to send you the slides so you can look through them.
That makes sense. And thank you for that.
And I think Tammy actually, after that meeting last month, where Gwen said the same thing you did, Betty, came back to me and said, nope, you are using the absolute correct survey. You are right. So just
I
FYI.
completely apologize for that misassumption. I still stand behind that stuff's really out of date for today's issue, where Wagner Park is now and what we need to do now. So my point is still
But
irrelevant.
the survey is still, the design principle is still remains based on that survey. So if that survey is out of date, then they should go back and look at it, right? So that's my point.
No.
That's the survey, Betty. That's it.
Right.
It's sourced. Go check it out. That's it. That's the source.
All right. Thank you. Thank you both. Jeff, thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. All right. I see Brian Robinson. I see Kelly. I don't see anybody else on the board. But then I think we can kind of look to, not that I'm shutting anybody up, but I'm looking to wrap it up soon. So Brian and Kelly. Thank you, Brian. Go ahead. You're on mute.
Hear me?
Yep, we can.
All right, so I'm gonna keep this blunt and short. I know a lot of people are upset about this park closing. Personally, I'm one of them. And I understand what people are saying on the other side, and climate change is obviously something we all care about deeply. My daughter's going to be very disappointed if this park closes for 2 years because she loves to play there. It's a beautiful park, and they're going to cut down trees, so it better be worth it, right? So is it worth it? I mean, according to a NASA study that was done in 2019, the sea level is rising about 0.38 centimeters per year. And this is NASA, so it's a source. It's a good source. And that, to me, if you do the math, doesn't justify raising up a park that's already 7-10 feet approximately above the sea. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about flooding, resiliency. That's an important issue. There are a lot of areas that flooded during Sandy. I know Sandy is being cited for this, but Wagner wasn't one of them, right? So what are we really doing here? It sounds to me that, this idea of the 100-year storm and resiliency. I mean, I worked in the private sector for a long time, and I know marketing when I hear it. So it looks to me like we're claiming climate change to guilt people into something. But in reality, they're sneaking a profit generating mechanism through the back door. And it's hard to argue versus climate change. I understand. But if the facts don't add up, they don't add up. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Brian. I'm going to call on Nick. Did you say 0.23 centimeters? I didn't catch you. The NASA study? Oh, sorry. Nick, go ahead. Lucian, I don't think unmuted him again, so I missed what his measurement was from the NASA study. But Nick, you're up. Go ahead.
And if you want to just unmute yourself and repeat that bit of information. Okay. Oh.
Okay, thank.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
I'm going to stop my about that. I'm sorry. Was Brian going again?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, wonderful, and thank you. And Jeff and somebody else, thanks for that.
Nick,
I really appreciate the support.
Are you using earbuds or a headset of some sort?
No. Can you hear me now?
It's pretty touch and go.
Okay, is that better?
Give it a shot.
Okay, let me move to a different room. I apologize. My throughput is usually better. How's that? Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, great. So thank you to Justine and Bob and Betty and Jeff for the kind words. We don't kind of do it for the applause. We do it because we have a very serious crisis upon us. And Lucian, if you can just bring up a couple of those pictures very briefly for the benefit of the group here. And we certainly understand that it's kind of not an easy thing to understand that a park is going to be undergoing some necessary changes over the course of the years. But that is a picture taken of the ball fields after Hurricane Sandy. So while true, and by it's at the top page of our resiliency section, says that while Battery Park City certainly did fare better in Hurricane Sandy than a lot of other areas downtown, were destroyed, and Gwen Dawson, bless her soul, lost a number of years off the end of making sure they were reopened for that following spring with a Herculean effort. I said 50,000 local youth a year use those, including Manhattan Youth, Downtown Giants, Downtown Little League, our kids, folks in our local schools, and as a result of our efforts and with very important feedback from community and the community overall, those fields are now protected. That's a really big thing, and it's one of the first things we think about when we think about resiliency. We are delivering upon a very necessary and urgent priority. The second picture there, Lucian, if you can bring up, was North Battery Park City, and this is really stunning to see. This is of the North Esplanade after Hurricane Sandy, and that is just, it's 10 years later and almost knocks me off my chair. So the North was flooded. That is the corner of Rockefeller Park, and that's what it looked like after Hurricane Sandy. So just a really terrifying thing to see. Drives home with the visual kind of the urgent necessity of what we're doing, and that has been done over with a series of these past number of years in close consultation with the community board and the community through a series of meetings. The Northwest Project, as I had noted in my report, will be doing an open house on that last week of June. That will catch up everyone where we are. We have not yet begun the design process there, but that will stretch over the course of the next, say, 18 months or so, with hopefully construction toward the latter end of 2023, which itself seems so far away, but it gives you an idea of the breadth and scope and complexity of these projects. The South, as Brittany had noted, is another pitch point by Pier A. And yes, while Wagner Park wasn't flooded, Pier A and Pier A Plaza were damaged. And as we had noted previously, we're not building to protect from Hurricane Sandy. We are building to protect from the next storm, which is Colorado State University just noted last week, for the 7th straight year, this storm season is expected to bring with it intensifying storms of ferocity and damage. So the prospects are only kind of getting more bleak, and the urgency to act is all the more apparent. And then the last thing I would add in terms of the Wagner Park question is yes. I mean, we hear it as well. What we needed to do with that design was kind of solve for a number of considerations at once. And there was a slide earlier that was shown that talked about food and beverage, and that was as a direct result of things that we had heard from the community. But of course, on that very slide itself, there are a number of other considerations listed on that very slide, including the importance of having open green space, which by protecting the park, that is what we are ensuring. One of the big challenges, Justine, I know you had mentioned, and Jeff very kind of capably addressed it, is it sounds simple enough, oh, just build a berm. But one of the main kind of like most important things the community wanted was we wanted to make sure the view corridor to the Statue of Liberty was preserved. And if you build a 10-foot wall in front of it, that view is gone. And it doesn't really solve anything because you can't build that close to the water because it can't bear the weight of what the berm would be. So what we tried to do was solve for a number of problems, including having the green space preserved, the view corridors preserved, universal access, so folks with mobility devices or others can make sure that they're using the same means that everyone else is using, an increase in trees. People like food in parks. I mean, that's not news to anybody, right? Madison Square Park, Bryant Park. You're sitting in a park, you want to get something to eat. It's not envisioned to be like a food court, but it would be imagined to be a place that actually is designed to house a restaurant, whereas the current Gugino's restaurant is not that, right? It was kind of shoehorned in there as an afterthought with a number of items that are likely not even up to code because of the way it's arranged in there. So we want to make sure there's the appropriate space for a kitchen and for seating and things that can achieve that, while also making sure that we have a rooftop that's available to the public and performance space for events, I think along those lines. So very excited to get started. It is not without its challenges, and something certainly I think we all share, something we wish we didn't have to embark upon, but we don't have the luxury of kind of doubting the science or stopping the clock on a very, very urgent priority for Lower Manhattan. And the last thing I would add is these projects, of course, are all coordinated as part of what is known as the Lower Manhattan Coastal Resiliency Initiative, which ties Battery Park City projects into projects along the southern area of Battery Park City and then up around the Manhattan Tip and up to the East River. Certainly more to come, but certainly something that is coordinated amongst the various, a large and varied degree of city and state agencies. Thank you.
No, thank you, Nick. And that point is well taken, the end part. You are coordinating with various city and state agencies, but they've only moved along because you're leading the way. So that part of it is, points for that. One thing I'll say, and I know I'm going to get like groans from Betty and Jeff, so I'm just going to say it quick and Bob, but the groans are with the building that's being built, you are blocking the view corridor. Now you're building a different way to see the view, but you could do that on top of the berm. And you could do it without a building and a restaurant there, and you could take that restaurant and put it someplace else. That said, that's my point. That's what we've said all along. That's what the community board has said from way back when. And I get the fact that this has been going on for a long time. And I get frustration, and I do believe in the urgency of getting this done. So I'm not somebody who is wanting you to push this off. But that also said, I have a question for you. And again, I trust your answer on this. But if it looks like you're looking to close down the park starting August 1st, if there was a way to push it back till September or October, it would be great and helpful for the community, just because we've lost East River Park. Lower Manhattan has lost access to outdoor space, and we're still with COVID. And I don't know if it's possible or not possible, but that would be just an idea. And again, this is more for the environmental committee than it is for here. So you don't have to answer me now, Nick.
I can answer you now if it's helpful.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll be very brief.
Very brief. It's not going to be August 1. It's going to be more toward the latter part of August, latter end of August.
Later is better from our perspective, but
Well, sure. We want folks to enjoy, obviously, the summer in the park. A whole lot of events there as I went into, but yes, not August 1. It's going to be toward the end of that month.
thank you for that.
More precision on that date when I have it. A little bit now. Again, we pushed back the comment period for the DEIS, which
Yep.
has real impacts on kind of when the construction will start. But it was important to us to hear the concerns of the community, as we have regularly done, and give some additional time for comments on the DEIS, which has some impacts on the construction start, but not an inordinate amount. Not nothing, but not inordinate.
Right. No, that makes sense. Thank you, Nick. All right. So I'm going to do Kelly, Mike Gordon. I'm going to mess up your name, Kalija, Bega, then Robin Forst. Go ahead, Kelly, unmute yourself.
Hey, thanks. And
Did you make me
what I want to do is echo a few comments that people said. I want to start with Jeff's comment because I think this is at the crux of it. This whole design is based on this IPCC prediction, which is all it is, of a 10-foot rise, right? I've been through all the science. I've been following the science for years. Facts happen to get in the way of that. And we may not like it, and it may sound inconvenient, but they get in the way of that. What Brian was talking about is that sea level rise, which is a real thing, it has been happening for decades, is rising at the rate of about 0.34 centimeters a year, which is about 12 to 15 inches a century, right? So two things can be true, right? I can accept sea level rise, and I can accept the need to do something for resiliency, and I can also hear propaganda coming out of the IPCC when I see it. But the fact is, they've been predicting global warming, over predicting. Every model for the past 50 years has over predicted by wide margins the impact, including hurricanes, including the severities of hurricanes, including ice melts, including sea level rise. But the facts don't care about your opinion, right? And the facts are that the sea level rise is very steady at about 12 to 14 inches a century. So do I think we have to do something? Absolutely.
Hi, sorry.
Right?
Were you guys waiting for me? I had to take a call.
Oh, yeah. I was just backing up your comment about the sea level rise facts as opposed to the hockey stick predictions that get people in this state of fear. So do I think we should do something? Of course I think we should do something. However, two other points. One Justine said, and one that Betty was talking about. All we hear about is the urgency to do something. And oh, the horse is out of the barn, and we've done all this work, which I appreciate all the work. But if we're planning for the next 100 to 150 years, a truism in projects is it is more important to do it right than to do it early, right? And the urgency, if there is such an urgency, well, why wouldn't we be focused on the most vulnerable points first, right? Which are the low points of the island, not the high ground, which Battery Park City is. Of course, we've all witnessed through Sandy and other storms. I've witnessed 13 floods in New York City in my time. Do you have to do something? Absolutely. But you should protect the most vulnerable parts first. And Wagner, I hate to say it, is not the most vulnerable part. In conjunction with, we talk about the integration with the rest of the city. That's a great noble goal. We'd all agree with that. But the rest of the city is not integrated, right? We don't have any plan for north of Battery Park City. We don't really have any plan for the battery, so much so that we're taking on, to the expense, to the cost of Battery Park City, the expense of protecting Battery Park, because it makes no sense to do our project if they haven't done anything there. So that, in conjunction, so projects are really gauged by three things: timing, scale, and scope, and impact, right? And if you look at the timing of this, when we've already taken the Lower East Side parks out of commission for many years, and that's a huge impact to all of Lower Manhattan, including Battery Park City residents. Our kids are going to lose a generation of their green space, right? So we may, you could say it's water under the bridge, but we have an opportunity to minimize the impact to a generation of kids on when we figure out the timing of these, because as everybody in Lower Manhattan knows, we have almost no green space to spare, right? And this is a self-inflicted wound if we're doing these simultaneously. That's one. Two is the scale and scope. Any project that you do like this, you can look at it as this is effectively insurance. It's insurance against flood. Now, when there's plenty of parts of New York City where you'd say, well, if I'm going to do this, and Battery Park City Authority has been great about this, if I'm going to do this project, can I do it in a way with a marginal extra investment to make it accretive to the property, to accretive to the community, and accretive to the neighborhood, right? So I look at this project through the lens of this. Am I better off as a community with this design afterwards, outside disaggregating the insurance part, right? I can accept the fact that this will protect me from a 100-year flood. But when I look at the Wagner Park before and after, I don't see a park that is accretive to the neighborhood. I see a park that is, okay, I guess we had to do it. So then you have to ask yourself the question, is it worth it? Is this the best way to do it, right? And then the final part is, I am making a decision on 150 years based on international projections that haven't come true for the last 30 to 50 years. So why am I assuming that they're now going to be so true that they will be so urgent that I can't think this through in terms of timing, scope, and impact, as well as cost and design, in a thoughtful manner?
Thank you so much, Kelly. I appreciate your comments. So I see that Jeff, your hand is raised, and Robin too, but I'm going to do Mike Gordon, Kalisha, then I'm going to do Robin and Jeff, then I'll go to Brittany to close it out. Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Justine, can you hear me? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. In these various discussions, there's been a lot discussed whether there's a need and an urgency to do this. I do live in the very lower part of Manhattan, a couple blocks from the end. Somebody in the last meeting said that there was no flooding up by us, two streets up. That is not true. We had a 4-foot tiger dam in front of our circling our building, and water got in. The Ritz-Carlton was flooded. There is something that no one has considered about the amount of water. We had one of the biggest catch basins in the world down there. The tunnel, Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, I'm sorry, that's making me old, the Hugh Carey Tunnel, and the railroads, the various, the one, the R, etc.
Oh, we also had the World Trade Center site, and we also had the Battery Park underpass.
On the Battery Park underpass, we had hundreds of millions of gallons of water that went into what I'm going to call catch basins. All of these have been remedied. So all that water that comes in from the storm coming up will be pushed with nowhere to go other than onto our property. I think this is an extremely urgent situation. Maybe the sea level is not rising that fast, but they are predicting more and more hurricanes. They just had one in Mexico, which is a very early time, and it was a major storm with many deaths. This is an absolutely urgent project. I would encourage everyone to support it. We can go on and on tweaking this, but that's not a situation that requires tweaking. It requires active participation and moving on. It is a shame the city is not moving any faster, but we can't do anything about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much. That's a really good point. The water had to go someplace, and that we don't have those places for it to go now. So that's something to think about, which I think the authority has thought about. So that's a counterpoint. But okay, I'm gonna say it wrong, but you correct me, the Kalijah. And then you unmute yourself, and then
Kalijah.
Robin, then Jeff. Say it again. Kalijah.
Yes, hi, this is Cleda. Hi, Justine. Thank you.
Cleda. So sorry. Thank you, Cleda.
Everybody gets it wrong. No worries.
Sorry.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to speak. So far, I've heard two big arguments for why this project should go ahead. I've been shown pictures of flooding, which interestingly, none of them were at Wagner Park, where this project takes place. And also, I've heard that we're so far ahead down this project that we cannot go back now, which to me just doesn't seem a good reason if, in fact, the project is not very well considered and it's ill-designed. Now, I'm actually a scientist. In fact, climate science is one of the units that I teach at Columbia. And I would like to comment a little bit about the scare tactics, especially the blue painted lamps that I've seen around Battery Park City, which include no data and are full of conjecture at best. I actually looked at the latest IPCC report, the 2022 report, just today, and here is what it says. So, sea level rise predictions under business as usual scenario. Now, this is their most extreme scenario, which in fact they already say is the one that is least likely to happen. So under their most extreme scenario, sea level rise is predicted to be 18 centimeters or 7 inches by 2030 and 44 centimeters or 17 inches by 2070. Now, just like Kelly and the other previous speaker has said, I must stress that these are all predictions that are done by modeling. I live by modeling. Modeling is not data. Modeling is not fact. I mean, the amount of assumptions that go in these models is astounding. Let's just give you an idea. Basically, the general idea is, okay, sea levels will rise, but there is no way to know precisely by how much. Furthermore, as we as a planet are certainly taking measures to curb carbon emissions, so for sure it will not be the most extreme scenario. Now, the other point here is tropical cyclones. And there is a misconception with the public that the sea level rise, which in fact is happening due to thermal water expansion because temperatures are rising, there is a public misconception that there is a connection between the intensity and the severity of tropical cyclones and increase in temperature. But it turns out you can actually look at the IPCC report. There is, in fact, low confidence in attribution. I'm quoting from the report. There is low confidence in attribution of any detectable changes in tropical cyclone activity to anthropogenic influence. So, translation in layman terms, while sea levels might rise due to thermal expansion of water, it is unclear whether there will be a change in severity and frequency of the storm. So, to me, it seems like we're basing this big project on something that has some probability in it, but the probability is not 1. And we're spending all this money on something that may or may not happen, while in fact that could go and spend better in places where, as I heard Brittany and other speakers say, there are the pinch points, and that's where it will actually be most useful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very interesting information, and thank you for your knowledge and your experience. All right, Robin, unmute yourself, then Jeff, and then Brittany.
Hi, well, it's been a very lively discussion. I wanted to make 2 comments. One, I wanted to reiterate what Mike had said about the importance of the tunnels, the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel and the Battery Underpass. As a salvo for the flooding, it was critical to save South Battery Park City from incredible flooding. There was flooding at PRA, but much of Battery Park City was saved. And because of the work that's been done at those locations subsequent to Sandy, those will no longer be places for the water to go. The water will go into our neighborhood. So the fact that people are saying that there was no evidence of flooding, there were reasons why it didn't flood, or didn't flood as badly as it could have. And those reasons are no longer viable. The other issue that was raised, maybe it was Kelly, I'm not sure, but it may have been another person speaking. But the issue of Battery Park or other parts of Lower Manhattan not developing a viable resiliency plan is most unfortunate. But what is even more unfortunate is that we in Battery Park City are on our own. And to the extent that we can try to protect our own community, that is something we must do. The city is responsible for Battery Park. It's a New York City park. The East Side waterfront is part of the city plan, and their inability to either come up with a plan or find the funding for a plan is something that is certainly very troubling to us and will make our job that much more difficult. But I think it's really important to understand for those people who may not have been part of this since Sandy, that our options are limited. We can do what we can do. And I think it's imperative for us to move forward to protect our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin. Jeff, go ahead. Nick, is your hand still raised? Okay. Go ahead, Jeff.
No,
Thank
it
you.
wasn't. Sorry, Justine.
That's okay. Just wanted to get a sense of what's going on. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to clarify what the design criteria has been reported to be in terms of climate change and so forth. Nobody is predicting a 10-foot sea level rise, and the design criteria don't assume that to be the case. They assume that when you have a combination of sea level rise, which I believe the design criteria estimates between around 30 inches and 75 inches in 2050 versus 2100. And those numbers come right out of the New York City climate report from 2015. You add to that storm surge, even a Sandy level storm surge. But I believe they're assuming some increased levels above that, plus some freeboard, you get that 10 feet. You look at the photographs that Nick put up of Sandy, and many of us just don't remember it without seeing it. But, you know, West Street was a river. Battery Tunnel flooded. And yeah, maybe the pavilion at Wagner Park didn't, but the water certainly streamed through right next to it into West Street and into the tunnels. You don't have to go very much higher than that level. If you add a few feet to it for sea level rise without even increase in storm surge, you see that there is a problem. Now, how likely is that? These numbers, and this is, I questioned this at the beginning of the program, and I've been sort of mollified that my initial questioning was perhaps not correct from a design criteria. But these numbers in sea level rise are based on the 90th percentile estimate, which means there's a 90% chance that it will not be that bad. And similarly, the storms are, 100%, 100-year storm. That means in a given year, there's a 99% chance that that's not going to happen either. But when you plan for, infrastructure, it only takes one storm to wipe it out, even if it only happens, on average once in 100 years. And as I understand it, FEMA requires this 90% criteria in order to certify it. One could argue that you should, in fact, use a 75% criteria, which is what I argued at the beginning of this project. And the sea level rise figures are a lot lower if you use the 75% probability of it not happening versus the 90% probability of it not happening. But I just want to say that I have reviewed the reports in relation to the design right criteria, and they do comport with the reports. The numbers come straight from these reports. I think any of us, all of us, are entitled to doubt the reports. But these are what the panels say. And is it propaganda? I'm not prepared to say that it is, and we just ignore it and turn a blind eye. But if someone wants to do a persuasive critique, they should, and perhaps the design criteria can be changed as a result. But if I'm in the city government's position or Battery Park City Authority's position, I'm not sure that I'm prepared to ignore the New York City Climate Panel projections. That's all I have to say.
Thanks so much, Jeff. So Brittany texted me and said that she's good with Hamid going. If he goes quickly, I can let Brittany close it out. But if he talks too long, Brittany, I'm not going to call on you. So don't go anyplace, Brittany. But go ahead, Pemi. Sorry.
Just a couple things. I obviously echo everything Brittany and Kelly said. In terms of numbers, Jeff, thank you for that background. I didn't fully follow everything 75, 90, but what is clear on the numbers is there's 100% certainty that the 16,000 people will pay $50,000 each. And this is not a smart plan for that. I still don't understand. I was at the first meeting, the second meeting, the third meeting 5 years ago. All of these ideas go into some big bag vacuum, and the only thing that comes out are some changes of what font the signs will be and some minor movements of trees. And I don't understand why there's this hesitancy of simply providing full transparency on all of the ideas that we have submitted and the reasons they have not been included. And when that is not done, the program risks coming off as a checkbox for the last 5 years because there's no meaningful input. And we have to be very clear about that. And so when I hear this rush to the horse has left the barn, well, of course it has, because they run the clock out by, quote, taking feedback and not disclosing the why. If it's a legitimate reason, you have to trust the community to understand and accept that. But by holding it back doesn't do anything justice and takes away the credibility for the program. So I would encourage CB1 to get that information from the authority in full transparency. And in terms of the design principle, we see more concrete than we see green. And I think that is a fundamental flaw. The plans have not changed in that. And that has to happen. Otherwise, it's a continued flawed design, and you're not going to give green to the community, which is critical. And more than 31 people want green versus accommodating the commercial interest of this. And the authority has a bad track record when it comes to that, giving concessions to companies that go bankrupt like they did in Pier A. We do not need commercial space. We need green space. And again, 31 people, doesn't say how many lived here or not, want commercial is not valid justification statistically to put more concrete and more commercial and less green. And I hope for better transparency here. And then lastly, the blue lines devalue our properties. I think this fear mongering had a negative effect because when people walk by those blue lines, they look at the blue lines, they look at the buildings and think, wow, I'm not going to buy here because that's going to be underwater. Well, okay, if you take the logic that it's going to be underwater, which is everything that they've told you, 75, 90%, I don't care what number, 10 feet, 5 feet, then I would expect to see a reduction in ground rent because the values are lower. And I don't see that in the bond writing. So if you're going to say these blue lines, I fully expect the authority, Justine, to come back to us and tell us how they will put a dip in what year they're projecting, and they should devalue. And I should also see a reduction in my ground rent and pilot for those years. If they are not doing that, then they're contradicting themselves. You can't say I want to spend $800 million because there's a big problem and then increase my property value because of that. Something's got to be balanced, and that has to be reconciled. I don't want this comment to just land here and not be discussed again. This has to be brought up, Justine, and this has to be answered. You either say it's a problem, then put their money where their mouth is, and show me the reduction through 2069, or not. And if you're going to do it, put it in the bonds. I yield my time to Brittany. Thank you.
Thanks so much. No, and Hamid, I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I was agreeing with you, not laughing at you. Just so you caught me by surprise because that is an argument that I have been touting. I agree with you. I think the bonding is part of what is pushing the ground rent discussion and pushing the need for more money. And you're spot on with that part of the discussion. And so, yeah, no, that was like, yeah, you can't have it both ways. Either we're going to protect our community, but then you're saying if it needs to be protected so much, the property value does go down. That's a good point. So I yes, strong argument, and I stand with it. And no, you're exactly right. Brittany, if you're okay with not speaking, text me because I am really tired. My throat really hurts, and I think I'm just done for the night. It's been a long evening, so I'm going to ask. You're okay. Thank you, Brittany. Appreciate it. I thank you. And Hamid and everybody who came on tonight, I want to thank you all. I believe we've gone through this agenda. And yes, and Brittany is saying thank you for letting her present and listening to her in this committee. And I think it was a good discussion and a robust discussion because we heard a lot of different viewpoints. And this is the kind of discussion that I think is necessary in this committee because it's affecting the people who live here. When we get to the environmental committee, we're talking about this plus so many other things. And so you don't get the time and attentions paid to people's comments. So part of why that I want to give the space here for discussion is so that it's heard, the Battery Park City Authority hears it, and the rest of the community hears it, right? Our board hears it, and when we go to the full board, they get a sense of what the other Battery Park City residents think and what they say. And I think it's really important. So I appreciate everybody coming on tonight and everybody talking and everybody sharing their opinions and their voices. And I think we can call it an end. Does anybody second my vote to close out?
I agree.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Everybody have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Justine.